Chapter 5150. Sect Master. The white-haired old man had just called out when he was interrupted by the white-browed old man. He smiled and said, "Yun Shu, call me Sect Master in front of others and call me Senior Brother Howren or even Zhong Howren in private. Now that there are only the two of us, why are you so polite?" The white-haired old man laughed. "Haha, if that's the case, I'll call you Martial Uncle Zhong. That's how I addressed you in front of Taoist Xiao." "Oh, forget it." Zhong Howren shrugged, as if he was disgusted, and said, "Just pretend I didn't say anything, do as you please." "All right, Lord Sect Master, I admit that I was joking with you. Please don't take it to heart." Fei Yunshu smiled faintly and said, "After all, we haven't seen each other for 15 years, right? If I remember correctly, it should be 16 years. Zhong Howren nodded. "That year, for the expansion of our Fortune Gate, you went deep into the Huan country and built our Fortune Gate's foundation in the land of sword cultivators. It's been 16 years since we last met." "Yes, 16 years. Fei Yunshu sighed as he looked at Zhong Howren's white brows. "When I left, your brows were still white, but now they are as white as snow. You're even more elegant." "You're the same, ah." Zhong Howren sighed. "The Huan country's sword cultivators are harder to deal with than the Meng country's sword cultivators. You had a much harder time in the land of sword cultivators." "Same to you." Fei Yunshu laughed. "You built the Fortune Gate as a sword cultivator in the Meng country, and I built the Fortune Gate as a Dao cultivator in the Huan country. Both were not easy." Fei Yunshu's smile disappeared as he frowned. "All right, Sect Master, I don't understand. Why did you suddenly issue the Sect Master's order, ordering all Fortune Gate's disciples to besiege the Sky Patrol City? What does Fairy Xianxia's engagement with the Yi family's young master have to do with our Fortune Gate?" "Ah?" Zhong Howren was shocked and shouted, "The Sect Master's order was issued by me." But wasn't the original Sect Master's order issued by you?" "What are you talking about? When did I issue the Sect Master's order?" Fei Yunshu's expression turned cold as he hurriedly cried out, "Although I received the Sect Master token, how could I issue such a ridiculous Sect Master token?" At this point, Fei Yunshu suddenly realized something and cried out, "Sect Leader, we seem to have fallen into someone's trap." Zhong Howren didn't answer right away. He closed his eyes and pinched the space between his brows instead, and he pondered for the time it took to finish a cup of tea before he said, "It isn't just falling into the scheme of others. Others merely tossed a rock and caused a slight ripple. Yet I added fuel to the fire and pushed this matter to an unmanageable state." "Sect Master." Fei Yunshu was puzzled. What's going on?" "It's very simple." Zhong Howren smiled bitterly. "The earliest sect leader's order was not issued by me, but received by me. I thought it was you who issued the sect leader's order. At first, I wanted to send a disciple to blame you, but after careful consideration, I felt that your sect leader's order was very clever and the timing was very good. Thus, I sent a disciple to send a message praising you, saying that I was prepared to follow your wishes and distribute the sect leader's order in the Dawn Rain continent." "But," Fei Yunshu hurriedly argued, "Sect Master, this disciple has never received such a message from you. Naturally, you couldn't receive it. If you could, wouldn't today's situation be different?" Zhong Howren smiled bitterly. "Moreover, I also received your reply. Although you didn't say much, your tone implied that you agreed. Thus, I issued more sect leaders' orders." "The problem is..." Fei Yunshu was even more puzzled. He asked, "Why did you feel that the sect leader's order was very clever? The timing was very good?" Zhong Howren suddenly seemed to have thought of something. He smiled slightly and replied, "Didn't the message make it clear? Fairy Xianxia is Taoist Zhao's lover. How can she be engaged to other cultivators?" "Sect Master." Fei Yunshu didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He said, "When we established the Fortune Gate, we never mentioned Fairy Xianxia. Now that she is engaged, we have no reason to disturb her, right? Moreover, Taoist Xiao has never mentioned anything about Fairy Xianxia and Taoist Xiao. How can we force a marriage between Taoist Xiao and Fairy Xianxia? Although we haven't seen the relationship between Fairy Xianxia and Taoist Xiao, I have heard some cultivators from the three countries talk about it." Zhong Howren replied, "In the past, the Tai Ching sect of Meng country held a feather Immortal assembly. Both Taoist Xiao and Fairy Xianxia participated in it. During the Feather Immortal Assembly, Fairy Xianxia had a falling out with the Washing Flower sect's disciples because of Taoist Xiao. It would be strange if they didn't have feelings for each other. Moreover, after the Dao sword battle, Taoist Xiao and Fairy Xianxia went out to train together. The two of them are a pair of lovers. Fei Yunshu still shook his head and said, "Even so, without Fairy Hongxia's acknowledgement, sect master's actions are too reckless. Taoist Xiao has been missing for almost 1,000 years. You have no reason to bring up the relationship between Fairy Hongxia and Taoist Xiao." Without waiting for Fei Yunshu to finish, Zhong Haoren waved his hand and said, "Whether Fairy Hongxia and Taoist Xiao's relationship is true or not, let's not talk about it for now. Let me ask you, how effective was the fortune gate you established among the sword cultivators of Huan country?" "Of course it was excellent. Didn't this disciple say it clearly in the message I sent to Sect Master?" Fei Yunshu didn't understand, but he still answered honestly, "Taoist Zhao's benevolence has not only extended to our 3 countries, but also to the sword cultivators of Huan country. Without Taoist Zhao's good seed, more than half of Huan country's common people would have died long ago. Since the effect was good, what about the fortune gate now?" Zhong Haoren wasn't surprised by Fei Yunshu's answer and asked again. "The fortune gate's development is too fast," Fei Yunshu said excitedly. "This disciple's strength is no longer enough to maintain a sect. In the east and north of Huan country, other small sword sects have started to appear, claiming to be the fortune gate's disciples. It seems like it won't be long before Huan country will be like the 3 countries, with a sword cultivator alliance. Do those small sword sect sword masters listen to your orders?" Zhong Haoren asked indifferently. Fei Yunshu laughed and said, "How is that possible? Some sword sect sword masters are grade 3 illusory sword masters. They think highly of themselves, so it's impossible for them to listen to a disciple's orders. Not to mention, when we established the fortune gate, we had already discussed it. None of us can be considered the fortune gate's master. Only Taoist Xiao is the fortune gate's master." At this point, Fei Yunshu looked at the smile on the corner of Zhong Haoren's mouth and seemed to suddenly understand something. He stopped smiling and pondered for a moment before asking tentatively, "Sect Master, do you mean to say that this is the place where the fake Sect Master's command token is extremely opportune? I'm sure you've already felt it. Although our fortune gate was established late and has a weak foundation, it is because of Taoist Zhao's benevolence that he saved the lives of tens of millions of common people. Among these common people, there are many children with excellent aptitudes who have set foot on the path of cultivation. These children are grateful to Taoist Xiao for saving their lives and are willing to become Fortune Gate's disciples. Although these disciples are scattered far and wide, a single spark can start a prairie fire. What Taoist Xiao did not dare to imagine in the past has now become a reality on Dawn Rain mainland." Zhong Haoren looked at the distant sun that was covered by dark clouds and explained, "The current Fortune Gate has become another cultivation force that cannot be ignored after the Heavenly Demon sect. Moreover, according to this Zhong's knowledge, our Fortune Gate's potential is limitless. In 1,000 years, our Fortune Gate will definitely become the world's #1 sect." "Yes, that's exactly the case." Fei Yunshu was excited just thinking about it and hurriedly said, "Unfortunately, such a big sect is just a loose alliance without a clear leader, let alone a nominal alliance chief. Each sect fights for themselves and has already become a fat piece of meat in the eyes of other cultivation sects and families." Zhong Haoren sighed and said, "Not to mention, our strength is too shallow and we can't use our strength to restrain other sects' disciples. We are happy that they use Taoist Zhao's banner to do righteous things. But what if they use Taoist Zhao's banner to do improper things? Wouldn't that sully Taoist Zhao's name? Even if these sects don't do it, what if other cultivation sects take advantage of them?" "That's true." Fei Yunshu nodded. When this disciple was in Huan country, there were many sword cultivators who tried to recruit disciples and made the Fortune Gate fall under their banner. "Therefore," Zhong Haoren said word by word, "we need an opportunity to gather all the Fortune Gate's disciples, sects that worship Taoist Xiao, and even cultivators from other sects that claim to be Taoist Zhao's disciples. We need to explain our Fortune Gate's mission to everyone. If possible, we can elect an alliance chief. That would be the best." Fei Yunshu smiled wryly and shook his head saying, "Sect Master, your thoughts are quite reasonable. Presumably, even without that Sect Master token, you would have issued a similar Sect Master token sooner or later. However, Have you investigated whether or not the news of Fairy Xia's engagement with the Yi clan in the fake sect leader token is true? Of course. Zhong Haoren nodded and said, when I received the sect master token, I had already sent a disciple to investigate. It seems like. Fei Yunshu's eyes flashed with understanding. He narrowed his eyes as he looked at Zhong Haoren and said, this sect master token is also for our fortune gate. However, Lord Sect Master doesn't need to use this kind of awkward opportunity, right? This disciple doesn't think this is the best choice. Zhong Haoren retracted his gaze and said indifferently, in the early years, this Zhong had tried to contact other sects, but they thought this Zhong had other plans and did not reply. Even if they did reply, they were only probing to see if this Zhong has the heart to rule. This Zhong had no choice but to explain everything one by one. But they never believed me. Over the years, this Zhong has also lobbied many sects, but they were all very cautious and did not mention this topic. Besieging the Sky Patrol City was also this Zhong's last resort. If this Zhong did not take action, I'm afraid we would never see a unified fortune gate again. P.S. Fellow Taoists who like this book, please subscribe to it at Qidian, vote for it, vote for it, vote for it, give it as a reward, and thank all forms of support. Chapter 51-51. That's true. Fei Yunshu nodded. We don't have much time left, and we won't be able to hold on for more than a few years under the changes in the world's spiritual energy. It's understandable for Sect Master to take such a risk. However, the Sky Patrol City is now under the control of sword cultivators. If we besiege the Sky Patrol City, I'm afraid that the sword cultivators will resent us. If we're not careful, we might even be exterminated. That being said, this is a great opportunity. This is all I can think of. The consequences may be dangerous, but I can't care about it anymore. Zhong Haoren said, remember when the Heavenly Demon Sect was first established, didn't they besiege the Black Heaven Sect? Sect Master, times have changed. Fei Yunshu smiled bitterly. Back then, the Heavenly Demon Sect's strength increased greatly, and the Black Heaven Sect was caught off guard. The situation back then is completely different from today. That's why I called you all here to discuss this matter. After all, I thought you were the one who issued the Sect Master's token. Zhong Haoren said with a smile. Unfortunately, before Zhong Haoren could finish, Fei Yunshu frowned and cut him short. He said coldly, Sect Master, the Fortune Gate only has the two of us. It's meaningless for Martial Uncle to talk about other people. You should understand now that he must be the one who issued the Sect Master's token. As Fei Yunshu spoke, he raised his eyebrows and looked at the mountain peak in the distance. There was a faint flash of light at the top of the mountain, and a figure flew down from the morning glow. It was a mid-stage golden core cultivator wearing a light blue robe. Fei Yunshu's expression changed when he saw this cultivator. Sword light surged around his body, and a soaring sword intent flew out uncontrollably. Yunshu, don't be anxious. Zhong Haoren hurriedly shouted. I invited Zhong Zhan here. He issued the Sect Master's token for our own good. What's the point of inviting such a traitor? He used our names to issue the Sect Master's token and deceived all the Fortune Gate. Fei Yunshu's figure began to transform. His sword light was like frost, and layers of ice flowers flew towards the golden core cultivator. I've said it several hundred years ago. Whenever I see the three traitors, I'll unsheath my flying sword. That gold core old man was naturally Zhong Zhan. He looked at the incoming sword intent and said coldly, Who said I'm a traitor? In this Zhong's eyes, it is you who have become sword cultivators that are the true traitors. This Zhong inherited Taoist Zhao's cultivation and established the Fortune Gate. This Zhong is the true successor of Taoist Xiao. Fei Yunshu. Seeing Fei Yunshu's sword intent rushing towards Zhong Zhan like a tide, and Zhong Zhan waving his hands, sending thousands of ice shards towards Zhong Zhan like blooming flowers, Zhong Haoren couldn't help but roar, If you still consider this Zhong as your martial uncle, then stop immediately. Boom! The sword light was like a tide. It suddenly shrank, and when it gathered again, it soared into the sky and cut off the scattered sunlight. Fei Yunshu's figure trembled as he appeared in the sword light. Although his face was still filled with anger, the sword light was reluctantly retracted. It turned into a stream of water that flowed around him. Zhong Zhan held a magic treasure that looked like a small lock in his hand. Currently, The magic treasure was emitting a rainbow-colored light that was exceptionally dazzling under the sudden appearance of the sunlight. A condensed aura was emitted from the light. Obviously, Zhongzhan was also abnormally vigilant. Traitor! Fei Yunshu stopped, but when he glanced at Zhongzhan, he still cursed. Humph! Zhongzhan coldly snorted and retorted, "You're the traitor. You're already a sword cultivator. What qualifications do you have to break the orthodoxy of my cultivation?" Moreover, that day, Taoist Xiao divided his orthodoxy among the 5 of us. In other words, the 5 of us all inherited Taoist Xiao's orthodoxy. You boast that you're the orthodoxy. What a joke! Fei Yunshu angrily retorted, "If you consider yourself Taoist Xiao's orthodoxy, then why did you run away? Why didn't you establish the fortune gate with martial Uncle Zhong?" Hee hee. Zhongzhan smiled faintly and said, "That day, Qinji and Zhong Pei defected halfway. Martial Uncle Zhong chased after them but failed. If they had fallen into someone else's hands, wouldn't our whereabouts have been exposed? Not to mention other things. Just the storage pouches on our bodies are the cause of our certain death. You didn't know how to hide and still walk together. I don't want to die with you." "If that's the case, then explain." Fei Yunshu scoffed at Zhongzhan's explanation and said coldly, "Why did you leave without saying goodbye?" "Explain?" Zhongzhan curled his lips and said, "That day, you and martial Uncle Zhong were so excited that you wanted to find Feng Qing in Meng country. Would you listen to me?" "Zhongzhan." Zhong Haoren spoke, "Whether we listen or not is this old man's business, but whether you say it or not is your business. In this old man's opinion, this matter is your fault." "Martial Uncle Zhong," Zhongzhan said indifferently, "this matter has happened for nearly 1,000 years. Whether it's right or wrong is no longer important. What's important is that the fortune gate in my hands is still a Dao cultivation gate, and the fortune gate in your hands is not a Dao cultivation gate. Who told you that my fortune gate only has sword cultivators?" Fei Yunshu retorted, "That's because you're ignorant. Not to mention Meng country's fortune gate has Dao cultivation techniques. Even Huan country's fortune gate also has Dao cultivation techniques. However, Dao cultivation techniques are too difficult to learn, and they are not as easy to learn as sword cultivation techniques. Hence, there are fewer disciples cultivating Dao cultivation techniques." "AI." Zhong Haoren sighed and raised his hand to signal the 2 of them to stop. He said, "This old man cannot agree with Zhongzhan's opinion. However, he has said something that this old man feels the same way. That is, the matter is already in the past, and right or wrong is no longer important. Whether it's right or wrong is not something we can judge now, so let's leave it to the younger generation to judge." Final conclusion. Zhongzhan's eyes narrowed slightly as he sighed with emotion. Fei Yunshu was speechless for a moment, then said, "Anyway, this Fei did not disappoint Taoist Zhao's trust. If that's the case, then the 3 of us did not disappoint you." Zhong Haoren took the opportunity to say, "We don't have long to live, and in this life, we've been fighting for one goal, so why can't we let bygones be bygones?" "No." Fei Yunshu still shook his head and said resolutely, "There is one goal, but the method is different. This Fei does not dare to agree. I have a clear conscience, and I have a clear conscience towards Taoist Xiao. So what if you don't agree?" Zhongzhan retorted without any trace of politeness. "Forget it." Zhong Haoren hurriedly tried to smooth things over. "Today, this Zhong invited all of you from Huan country and Lian country, not to bicker. Although all of you have different opinions. After all, you have obtained Taoist Zhao's true orthodoxy. If all of you do not support this Zhong might as well go to Chu Hong Sek's Wang Jianqing or Cloud Pavilion Fort Su Zhonglin. Yes, Masters Junior Zhong." Seeing that Zhong Haoren was anxious, Fei Yunshu did not dare to say more, and hurriedly bowed and replied. Zhongzhan also replied. What Masters Junior Zhong said to Fei Yunshu just now, this disciple heard it clearly. What this disciple wants to say is, this sect master's command was not issued by this disciple. This disciple only came after receiving the sect master's command. What? Zhong Haoren and Fei Yunshu felt a chill in their hearts. They looked at Zhongzhan and asked in unison, that sect master's command was really not issued by you? It was not issued by me. Zhongzhan flatly denied, but then he said, however, this disciple not only agrees with the message in the sect master's command, But this disciple also feels that just besieging the Sky Patrol City is not effective. Since we are going to do it, we should do it bigger. Wouldn't it be better to besiege the Sky Patrol City and drive away the sword cultivators there? Zhongzhan. Fei Yunshu coldly asked, do you know what it means to be greedy? How can our Fortune Gate's disciples compete with the Sky Patrol City's sword cultivators? Aren't you afraid that after taking down the Sky Patrol City, our Fortune Gate will become the target of public criticism? Dare I ask, Sect Master Fei? Zhongzhan glared at Fei Yunshu and asked, you have been in Huan country all this time. Do you know the sword cultivators' attitude towards the Sky Patrol City? Do you know which sword faction is in charge of the Sky Patrol City? How many sword cultivators are stationed in the Sky Patrol City? Fei Yunshu was stunned, but after thinking for a while, he lowered his head like a defeated rooster and shook his head. I really don't know. Then do you know how many Fortune Gate's disciples there are in the 3 countries? Zhongzhan was very proud and asked again, how many Fortune Gate's disciples are rushing to the Sky Patrol City? Fei Yunshu stiffened his neck and said coldly, I naturally don't know how many Fortune Gate's disciples there are in the 3 countries, but I know that there are more than 120,000 disciples in the Huan country. Counting the disciples from other sects, there should be more than 200,000. Clap, clap. Zhongzhan clapped his hands and laughed. That's right, Sect Master Fei has worked hard. You have only been in the Huan country for a little over 10 years, but you have already recruited more than 100,000 disciples. Fei Yunshu naturally knew that Zhongzhan was mocking him. He glanced at Zhongzhan and said, this has nothing to do with my hard work, it is all thanks to Taoist Zhao's grace. Zhonghauren ignored the two's bickering. He frowned and looked at Zhongzhan asking, Zhongzhan, what do you mean by this? Martial Uncle Zhong. Zhongzhan's expression turned serious and he bowed. After receiving your summons, I immediately felt the wonders of your dangerous move. After thinking for a while, I sent out a disciple to investigate. After combining the information I received earlier, I discovered that the Sky Patrol City is in a delicate situation under the covetous eyes of the sword cultivators of the Huan country. What do you mean? Zhonghauren was stunned. He had not thought deeply about what Zhongzhan said. Zhongzhan smiled and said, previously, when the Sky Patrol City was in the hands of the Dao cultivators, it was a choke point to stop the sword cultivators from going south. With the Sky Patrol City and the Sword Tomb, the sword cultivators were firmly blocked in the Huan country. After the Sword Dao War, the Sword Tomb disappeared and the Sky Patrol City fell into the hands of the sword cultivators. The sword cultivators could enter the 3 countries without any scruples. However, due to the obstruction of the Dao cultivators, the Sky Patrol City is still considered a strategic location. Anyone who occupies the Sky Patrol City can attack or retreat. Both the Dao cultivators and the sword cultivators want to control the Sky Patrol City. Vote for it, vote for it, vote for it, donate it, and thank you for all forms of support. Chapter 51-52. Zhongzhan continued, previously, the Sky Patrol City was controlled by Shui Yu Dao Master. The sword cultivators killed Shui Yu Dao Master and captured Shui Yu Dao Master, but they didn't appoint a sword sect or a sword master to control it. Of course, the Sky Patrol City is extremely important to the sword cultivators, and they wouldn't let a sword sect control it. Therefore, after the Great Sword War, the sword cultivators drew up a list according to the contribution of each sword sect. Every 100 years, 3 sword sects would jointly control the Sky Patrol City. In the first few 100 years, the sword sects of the Huan country followed the rules and guarded the Sky Patrol City according to the list. Those sword sects that weren't on the list wouldn't send disciples over. But in the past 300 years, this rule has begun to fall apart. Some powerful sword sects, such as the Void Heaven Sword School, often sent disciples to the Sky Patrol City. This was obviously not in line with the previous agreement, so the sword sects guarding the Sky Patrol City cleaned up these disciples. In the past 100 years, the Sword Sect, Flying Feather Sect, and Quilted Mountain Sect controlled the Sky Patrol City. Zhongzhan glanced at Fei Yunshu and asked, you must have heard of these 3 sword sects in the Huan country, right? The Sword Sect is a second-rate sword sect in the Huan country. They contributed in the Great Sword War, but in the past 300 years, they have begun to decline. Fei Yunshu naturally knew the situation of the Huan country's sword cultivators like the back of his hand. He seemed to understand something and answered, as for the Flying Feather Sect and Quilted Mountain Sect, they were originally weapon cultivators and beast cultivators. Normally, they wouldn't be noticed by the sword cultivators. In the Great Sword War, they were only united because they needed weapon cultivators and beast cultivators. Since that's the case, I think you should understand. Zhongzhan continued, the current Sky Patrol City is much weaker than it was in the past few hundred years. If the Fortune Gate besieges the Sky Patrol City, the other sword sects of the Huan country would be more than happy. Could it be? Fei Yunshu hurriedly asked. The fake sect master token was issued by the other sword sects? It's possible. Once the Heavenly Patrol City is in danger, the other sword sects can rightfully take over the Heavenly Patrol City and change the order left behind by the previous Sword Dao War. Zhong Haoren understood and said calmly, our Fortune Gate has fulfilled the ambitions of the other sword sects. The problem is. Fei Yunshu shook his head and said, although the Three Swords faction that controls the Sky Patrol City is weak, their strength is still not something our Fortune Gate can compare to. Moreover, with the Huan country's sword cultivators scheming against us, our Fortune Gate is likely to be attacked from both sides. Not bad. Zhong Haoren nodded slightly, then looked at the two of them and said with a bitter smile, but at this point, do we still have a way back? There's still time. Fei Yunshu said hurriedly. I'll pass down the order now and say that the sect leader's order is fake. Everything has been explained. You're still too inexperienced. Zhongzhan coldly said, first of all, let's not talk about whether the other Fortune Gate's gate chiefs will believe us or not. If you throw all the dirty water on the Huan country's sword cultivators, how could the Huan country's sword cultivators leave the matter at that? Secondly, other than the first sect leader's order, all the other sect leaders are real. Since the other sect leaders responded to the summons and did not question us, it means that they have the same idea as us. It's too difficult for us to overturn what has already been done. Then are we going to fall into other people's trap? Fei Yunshu asked anxiously. Small fish naturally have to be caught by the fishing net. A trace of ruthlessness flickered in Zhongzhan's eyes as he said, but the fishing net can't catch the big fish. What do you mean? Fei Yunshu looked at Zhong Haoren who was deep in thought and asked Zhongzhan. Haha, then let me tell you. Zhongzhan laughed and asked Fei Yunshu, your Huan country's Fortune Gate's 120,000 disciples, how many did you bring back? This disciple dared not neglect Martial Uncle Zhong's order. When this disciple returned to the Sky Patrol City, this disciple dispatched 80,000 disciples from the Sword Tomb to quietly surround the Sky Patrol City. Fei Yunshu answered without hesitation. The Huan country's other Fortune Gate's disciples should be around 40,000, right? And at least 40,000. If I'm not wrong, there should be more than 60,000. Fei Yunshu nodded. This disciple secretly informed the other Swords Gate's disciples that they will send out all their forces. The Huan country's sword cultivators sent at least 120,000 disciples. Then Martial Uncle Zhong, how many disciples did you bring? Zhongzhan asked Zhong Haoren. Zhong Haoren nodded thoughtfully and answered, the Fortune Gate I control has 250,000 disciples. This time I brought 200,000 disciples to the Sky Patrol City. This disciple's Fortune Gate has 220,000 disciples. This disciple brought 190,000 disciples. Zhongzhan added, this disciple only left 30,000 disciples to guard my home. As for the other sects that also worshipped Taoist Shao, not to mention the smaller ones, the bigger ones were the Mid-Golden Core Realm cultivator Wang Jianqing's Chuhong sect, the Mid-Golden Core Realm cultivator Su Zhonglin's Cloud Pavilion Fort, the Late Golden Core Realm cultivator Zhao Ming's Burning Crane Union, the Early Golden Core Realm cultivator Su Chong's Fishing Island, the Early Golden Core Realm Zhua Hong's Heavenly Competitive Pavilion, the Mid-Golden Core Realm cultivator Chung Jizi's Seeking Swallow Manor, the Mid-Golden Core Realm Wu Cheng's Intelligent Pavilion, and the Early Golden Core Realm Zhou Ji's Essence Wind Stronghold. The Chu Hong sect has 300,000 disciples, the Cloud Pavilion Fort has 200,000 disciples, the Burning Crane Union has 400,000 disciples, the Fishing Island has 180,000 disciples, the Heavenly Competitive Pavilion has 450,000 disciples, the Seeking Swallow Manor has 500,000 disciples, the Intelligent Pavilion has 320,000 disciples, and the Essence Wind Stronghold is the smallest with 170,000 disciples. These disciples add up to a total of 270,000. 2 million disciples even if the sect master's token is fake, can their trap capture 2 million disciples? How can there be so many disciples? Not to mention Fei Yunshu. Even Zhong Haoren and the others were surprised when they heard this. This disciple was also shocked when he heard this. Zhong Zhan laughed. But when I thought about it carefully, I suddenly understood. There are two reasons for this. First, our Fortune Gates disciple selection is not as strict as other cultivation sections. We directly take in disciples based on their aptitude. Second, Taoist Zhao seeds are indeed immortal seeds. In the past 1,000 years, the children who have eaten these seeds have excellent aptitudes. Moreover, these children worship Taoist Xiao, and their cultivation speed is much faster than other cultivation sects' disciples. Therefore, the number of disciples has far exceeded our expectations. Although the Fortune Gate has a lot of disciples, compared to the cultivation sects, their strength is too weak. Zhong Haoren smiled bitterly. If we besiege the Sky Patrol City, I'm afraid the casualties will be heavy. Zhong Zhan didn't think much of it and calculated with his fingers. Not all of these 2,570,000 Fortune Gate disciples are here. If only 80% of them come, that would be 2 million. Martial Uncle Zhong, think about it. 2 million disciples besieging the Sky Patrol City. Just this sea of disciples is enough to scare the Sky Patrol City's sword cultivators to death. Wang Jianqing and the others are cunning. Zhong Haoren shook his head and said, they definitely won't send out 80% of their disciples. If they send out 40% of their disciples, it's already good enough. Hee. Zhong Zhan smiled faintly. If Martial Uncle Zhong says so, then you really underestimate Wang Jianqing. Even this disciple understands the meaning of Martial Uncle Zhong's summoning order. How could they not know that Martial Uncle Zhong has an ulterior motive? Since they know that this is an opportunity to test each Fortune Gate's strength, forming an alliance and electing an alliance chief, why wouldn't they bring out their strongest forces? This disciple even thinks that 2 million disciples is a small number. Fei Yunshu waved his hand and said, impossible. How big can the Sky Patrol City be? How big can 2 million disciples be? Thinking back to the Sword Dao Great War in the past, the Sword Dao Great War disciples and Dao Great War disciples were less than 2 million, right? You can't compare it like that. Zhong Zhan replied. Those who participated in the Sword Dao Great War were all elites. Those who participated in the siege of the Sky Patrol City were mostly low-level disciples. They don't count. That's right, since we know that the low-level disciples are not strong enough, it's useless no matter how many of them there are. We also know that this is a trap. Since Fairy Xianxia and the Yi family's young lord are engaged in the Sky Patrol City, we can't enter the city to stop them, we can only surround them from outside. Zhong Haoren said worriedly, since it's a siege, we will have to fight with the Sky Patrol City. There's even a possibility that we will be attacked from both sides. Our Fortune Gate's low-level disciples will suffer heavy casualties. So why should we go? Didn't Martial Uncle Zhong say so? Stopping Fairy Xianxia and the Yi family's young lord from getting engaged is just a pretense. Zhong Zhan smiled and said, this siege of the Sky Patrol City is to clean up the Fortune Gate. It would be best if we can attack the Sky Patrol City. It would greatly boost our Fortune Gate's morale. If the battle is disadvantageous to our Fortune Gate, Martial Uncle Zhong can give the order to retreat, and we will go to other places to discuss the alliance. If we don't use this opportunity to find the culprit who issued the fake Gate Master's token, when will we find him? In short, no matter how the battle goes, our Fortune Gate will be the winner, and we will achieve Martial Uncle's goal. Since we're going to fight, how can we retreat so easily? Zhong Haoren was still worried. Once the battle starts, there will be heavy casualties. Especially if it's a pincer attack. That's even more right. Zhong Zhan said coldly, since they are our Fortune Gate's disciples, they should belong to the three of us. They established another sect to compete with us. It's obvious that they are looking down on our orthodoxy. Looking down on us is the same as looking down on Taoist Zhao's orthodoxy. It's necessary to use the battle to teach them a lesson and let them know who is Taoist Zhao's orthodoxy. Victory has always been bought with blood, without the accumulation of lives. It's impossible to know how precious it is. If that's the case. Zhong Haoren was tempted. He closed his eyes and did not speak. After a while, he opened his eyes, looked at the two of them and nodded. What we need to discuss today is different from what I thought before. We need to advance and retreat together, and lead the other Fortune Gate's disciples to besiege the Sky Patrol City. We also need to guard against the Oriole behind us. This is very troublesome, we need to discuss seriously, and if necessary, we need to inform the other sects. P.S. Fellow Taoists who like this book, please subscribe to it at Qidian, vote for it, vote for it, vote for it, give it a tip, and... Chapter 51-53. Not to mention Zhong Haoren, Fei Yunshu, and Zhong Zhan discussing how to besiege the Sky Patrol City, or Fairy Xianxia and the other Fortune Gate disciples coordinating with the Fortune Gate disciples to clean up the mess outside. Xiao Hua was leading several 100,000 Lightning Valley disciples back to the Myriad Lightning Valley. Although Xiao Hua had no sense of direction and could get lost even in the Imperial Lightning sect, at this time, he didn't need to distinguish between directions, nor did he need to release his divine sense. In the blink of an eye, the Myriad Lightning Valley was right in front of them. Everyone already knew that Xiao Hua's magic power was boundless, so they weren't particularly surprised. However, no one made a sound as they quietly looked at the mountain-like figure in front of them, feeling a deep sense of attachment. It was as if the withered autumn aura on the mountain had dyed the mountain stream and spread in all directions. Xiao Hua's eyes were filled with a deep attachment. He looked at the Myriad Thunder Valley that seemed familiar, but was in fact unfamiliar. Memories mixed with helplessness inevitably rushed into his mind. Rather than saying that the Myriad Lightning Valley was a place that haunted Xiao Hua's dreams, it was more appropriate to say that it was a place where his thoughts were entangled. The happiness of growing up, the bitterness of maturity, the worry of worry, and the unforgettable guilt were the true meaning of the Myriad Lightning Valley. It had been 1,000 years, and the Myriad Thunder Valley was no longer the Myriad Thunder Valley of the past. Not to mention the rumbling of thunder, not to mention the fact that the white ape that guarded the mountain had died long ago, not to mention the fact that the voice of exasperation for failing to meet expectations would never appear again. Due to the increase in disciples in the Myriad Lightning Valley, there were a lot of cultivation caves within several hundred li, and spiritual plants were beginning to grow all over the mountains and plains. This was enough to make Xiao Hua feel lost. The Myriad Lightning Valley is no longer. As if the higher one's expectations were, the greater the disappointment. Xiao Hua looked to the left and quietly released his divine sense. The dense sense of loss turned into a withered autumn aura that shrouded the area, and a kind of unavoidable sadness filled the world. Zhuo Wu and the others had tears in their eyes as they felt the loss in Xiao Hua's heart, and they felt a little guilty. However, the changes in the Myriad Lightning Valley happened little by little, and they were familiar with it, so how could they see it? Only a disciple like Xiao Hua, who hadn't returned for 1,000 years, could recall the past from his memories, right? However, when this sadness fell into Wu Qing's heart, his body shook violently. Disbelief and surprise appeared in his eyes, and he fell to the ground in midair, ignoring everyone else. He actually began to meditate. When Xianxia and Cui Yingying saw this, they were very puzzled. However, they were all people with great fortune. Without any hesitation, they hurriedly sat down. In just a few breaths, they understood. Wu Qing's foundation had been injured by Fei, and his cultivation had regressed. Although Xiao Hua had given Wu Qing a medicinal pill to stop his injuries, Wu Qing's nascent soul was still in a heavily injured state. Wasn't Wu Qing's state of mind in sorrow? A state of near death? Lightning was the end of death and the beginning of life. If a cultivator couldn't comprehend life and death, then it would be impossible for them to reach grand completion. Although Wu Qing's situation here was not considered a life and death calamity, he might not be able to comprehend it so deeply. However, Xiao Hua's change in the weather just happened to match Wu Qing's state of mind. It was a good opportunity for Wu Qing's cultivation to advance greatly. Wu Qing, Xianxia, and Cui Yingying had always been cultivating together. Wu Qing was touched, and Xianxia and Cui Yingying came to their senses. They also activated their cultivation techniques. Perhaps they did not obtain as much as Wu Qing, but this was a rare opportunity. Wu Qing and the other two sat down cross-legged to comprehend. The other people in the Myriad Thunder Valley did not feel anything special. In fact, they did not even notice it because they had already seen the desolation of the Myriad Thunder Valley in their eyes, just like the memories in their hearts. Oh, this is this Zhao's cave. Xiao Hua's divine sense finally reached a familiar place. However, he saw that there were not many changes in the cave's surroundings. The inside of the cave was exactly the same as before. Presumably, Xiangyang and the others had deliberately done this. At the same time, Xiangxia's slightly immature voice sounded in his ears. You can rest assured, foster father. The myriad Thunder Valley is your home. And this cave is even more so yours. Boy has already taken good care of this cave and is waiting for your return. Boom boom boom. Waves of thunder suddenly appeared in the sky above the myriad Thunder Valley. This thunder was 100 times more ferocious than the thunder that appeared before Xiaohua. An indescribable confinement of heaven and earth descended from the sky, instantly enveloping everyone. Ha ha. Xiaohua smiled faintly. The autumn and austere aura were swept away. He said, without the annihilation of the past, how can the present exist? Without the present, how can there be a germination of tomorrow? Everything will turn into memories, and everything will change. All living things will be replaced, and life will not be extinguished. Nothing more than this. Admittedly, the myriad Thunder Valley is no more, but the myriad Thunder Valley is still the myriad Thunder Valley. In this Zhao's heart, the myriad Thunder Valley. After he finished speaking, Xiaohua's figure slightly swayed. He seemed to be in front of everyone's eyes, but also seemed to be millions of miles away. Xiaohua raised his hand, and the signs of the thunder tribulation high above the sky disappeared once again. When Xiaohua's figure once again solidified, an indescribable emptiness was emitted from his body. Xiaohua clearly understood that his karma in the Dawn Rain continent had been resolved once again. The distance to his ascension was even closer. Xiaohua's change was naturally something that the late gold core stage Zhuozhu couldn't comprehend. Seeing this, Zhuozhu was greatly alarmed in his heart, and he hastily said, Xiaohua, what happened to you? Ha ha. Xiaohua smiled faintly and said, It's nothing, master's wife. Disciple hasn't returned for nearly 1,000 years, and upon seeing the myriad Thunder Valley for the first time, my heart was excited, that's all. Cui Hongshan's mind was more agile than Xiangyang's, and he immediately understood something. He hastily said, Second senior martial brother, in the past 1,000 years, my myriad Thunder Valley has gained a lot of disciples. They also want to build their own Immortal's caves in the myriad Thunder Valley, so the myriad Thunder Valley has changed a lot. However, senior martial brother, don't worry. Your Immortal's cave has Li, Yingying, and Wuqing taking care of it. There hasn't been any changes. Xiaohua smiled at Cui Hongshan and said, I already know. Thank you. Subsequently, he looked at Wuqing and the other two, and said, Zhen Quan, Wuqing and the others are cultivating in seclusion. You take a few disciples and guard here. Don't disturb them. Whether or not they can cultivate to unity stage will depend on today's comprehension. Unity stage. Everyone was greatly alarmed and hastily shut their mouths. Their figures simultaneously flew several meters away, for fear of disturbing the three people. Little junior martial brother, I'll stay here. Xiangyang said worriedly. In fact, with Xiaohua here, how could there be anyone in this world who could affect the three people's cultivation? Xiaohua let Jianghu stay here to watch. He originally wanted everyone to feel at ease, but he still underestimated the affection in everyone's hearts. Thus, Xiaohua smiled bitterly and said, Since that's the case, eldest senior martial brother will. At this point, Xiaohua's heart moved and he said with a smile, Since that's the case, master's wife, eldest senior martial brother, senior martial sister, junior martial brother Cui, junior martial sister, you all follow me. While speaking, everyone felt the scenery in front of them change again. They actually landed near the thunder peak of myriad Thunder Valley. Xiangyang didn't know why Xiaohua did this. He hastily looked at Wuqing and the others, but he felt that Wuqing and the others were sitting cross-legged around Xiaohua. Without waiting for Xiangyang to withdraw his gaze, Xiaohua's voice sounded. Disciple Xiaohua announces to the heavens that disciple was helpless in myriad Thunder Valley. Eldest senior martial brother Xiangyang imparted a cultivation method to me and received his kindness. Today, disciple will give a lecture in myriad Thunder Valley to repay the friendship between master and disciple, the friendship between brothers, and the kindness of Imperial Thunder Sect. Xiaohua's voice didn't sound loud, but in an instant, it enveloped the entire Lema mountain range. Fairy Xianhua, who was ordering the disciples to clean up the mess and return to Lightning Radiance Peak to check the storage pouches and discuss how to distribute the cultivation methods and secret techniques, shuddered and hurriedly shouted, Imperial Thunder Sect's disciples, listen to my sect master's order. Reverend Xiao will give a lecture. Stop everything and listen immediately. Don't miss such a peerless immortal opportunity. Then, Fairy Xianxia looked around and teleported to the left side of the guest pavilion, where she sat cross-legged on a mountain rock with her palms facing the sky. Her face was filled with respect and piety. Reverend Lei Meng had already known that the storage pouch Xiao Hua gave to Fairy Xianxia contained the great opportunity of Imperial Thunder Sect, so he had long thought about it. Now, seeing Fairy Xianxia so cautious and hearing Xiao Hua's thunderous voice resounding in the Leima mountain range, how could they not know that Fairy Xianhua's words were true? They hurriedly found a place to sit cross-legged and calmly listened. In just half a cup of tea's time, all the Imperial Thunder Sect's disciples sat down and faced the sky to listen to Xiao Hua's lecture. Xiao Hua's voice was like a gurgling stream, like a sweet rain descending to the world. Every word fell into the ears of the Imperial Thunder Sect's disciples and seeped into their hearts. Fist-sized lightning flowers were born in the sky, splashed down from the lightning array, and gushed out from the ground. In less than an hour, they filled the heavens and the earth. Wisps of pious faith fell into the lightning flowers, through the void, and into Xiao Hua's crystal-like godhead. 3 days and 3 nights. It was neither long nor short, but it was enough for a person to be reborn and also enough to affect the cultivation of thousands of cultivators. When Xiao Hua finished his last word, the heavens and the earth fell silent. The lightning flowers in the morning sun were like morning dew, falling from the sky, into the ground, into the mountain rocks, and into the bodies of the Imperial Thunder Sect's disciples who were cultivating in seclusion. On the left side of the pavilion, the nascent soul cultivators who had been sitting quietly a moment ago were now surrounded by strange lights and thunderous colors. Layers upon layers of energy waves that covered different areas enveloped the area. The drifting thunderbolts fell into the energy waves and seeped into their bodies. When the lightning flowers entered their bodies, the eyes of these nascent soul cultivators were filled with shock and ecstasy, and they hurriedly opened their eyes. Unfortunately, an opportunity was an opportunity, and a missed opportunity was a missed opportunity. The lightning flowers that filled the heavens and the earth before had already disappeared into the vast earth and the undulating mountain range. Everyone flew out impatiently. Fairy Xianxia suppressed her joy and asked in a low voice, "Junior brother Lei Meng, how do you feel?" Lei Meng Daoist suppressed his wildly beating heart and replied in a low voice, "Eyes rock-solid bottleneck has finally loosened. If possible, I will be able to step into the late nascent soul stage before the end of my lifespan. P.S. Fellow Taoists who like this book, please subscribe to it at Qidian, vote for it, give it a recommendation vote, collect it, gift it, and..." Chapter 51-54. Ying. Xiao Hua hurriedly sent her a voice transmission. "Happiness is something you pursue yourself. Other people's obstacles and matchmaking can't compare to two people's sincere love. If you have heartlessness in your heart, you should seize any opportunity. If you miss a chance, you will regret it for the rest of your life." Cui Yingying felt as if she was struck by lightning when she heard this. Her lifeless eyes turned slightly, and a trace of joy appeared in them. Ignoring Qiming's push, she floated up and knelt in the air, kowtowing. Disciple Cui Yingying asks for seniors' pity and guidance on disciples' cultivation path. And not bad. Lightning Taoist knew that Cui Yingying was shy, so he didn't dare to make any jokes. He lowered his head to look at Cui Yingying, and his eyes glimmered as he laughed. "It seems like you were born from the lightning pill. Your talent is heavenly. Forget it, since I want to take you in, this old man will also take you in." Xianxia was envious, and he hurriedly flew in front of Lightning Taoist, shouting, "Senior, this junior also." Scram! Lightning Taoist didn't know whether to laugh or cry seeing Xianxia's appearance, and he scolded, "You are fellow Taoist Zhao's foster son. What reason do you have to take this old man as your master? This old man won't let you take advantage of me." Xianxia was kicked in front of Xiao Hua by Lightning Taoist. He pulled on Xiao Hua's robe with a long face and said, "Foster father you must uphold justice for this boy All of them have taken me as their master. Only this boy has no one to guide him. Don't you think this boy is pitiful?" "Not pitiful at all." Xiao Hua laughed. "You don't care about foster father anymore, and you want to hug Lightning Taoist's thigh, but he doesn't care about you, so why are you crying to foster father? Foster father, you are the Fortune Gate's gate master, and Lightning Taoist is the Fortune Gate's second master." Xianxia said pitifully, "Aren't your Fortune Gate's members a family? Why do you care about this?" Scram! Xiao Hua glared at Xianxia and kicked him back to Zhuozhu's side, scolding, It's our fortune gate. You are a disciple of the Lightning Imperial sect. Our fortune gate has nothing to do with you. Boy is going to cry himself to death. Xianxia said to Zhuamu with a long face. Grandmaster, let me borrow your shoulder. Even though Zhuanghu was overjoyed, seeing that the lightning Taoist had also accepted Cui Yingying as his disciple, how could she not know that something was amiss? She couldn't help but feel a little displeased. Looking at Xianxia's reaction, she couldn't help but think of the three of them when they were young. She sighed and raised her hand to touch Xianxia's forehead affectionately. Your foster father is from the Fortune Gate, so naturally, you're also from the Fortune Gate. Wait for the two of them to get up. On the other side, the Thunderbolt Immortal helped Wuxia and Cui Yingying up. With a wave of his hand, a barrier was formed. Then, he took out 2 small bottles from his bosom and handed them to the two. These are 2 unique treasures. There is a universe inside. Now, I'm giving them to the 2 of you. Figure out how to use them yourselves. Remember that. Wuxia and Cui Yingying were alarmed and hurriedly kept the bottles carefully. Only then did the Thunderbolt Immortal remove the barrier. He said to Xiaohua, fellow Taoist, I still have important things to do. I'll leave the matter of guiding the 2 of them to you. Sure. Xiaohua nodded. He shook the Kunlun mirror and put the Thunderbolt Immortal away. Seeing that everyone was confused, Xiaohua smiled and said, Master's wife, let's talk about it after we return to the cave. The cave that Xiaohua was talking about was naturally the cave that Helpless and Zhuanghu lived in. Everyone descended. Zhan Quan and the other disciples respectfully stood outside the cave. Zhuanghu led Xiaohua into the cave. Helpless cave didn't have any special changes. It was similar to when Xiaohua was expelled. Xiaohua saw the 2 jade chairs at the head. Although the chairs were empty, Xiaohua felt like he was seeing Helpless sitting on them. Xiaohua couldn't help but feel jealous. He took a few steps forward and knelt on the ground again. He kowtowed and said, Master, this unfilial disciple has returned. Disciple thanks you for saving my life. Zhuanghu was greatly surprised. After Xiaohua kowtowed, he helped Xiaohua up and said, Xiaohua, quickly get up. Although your master didn't get the face that he wanted when he was alive, the face that you gave him now is far beyond what he expected. Even if he's in the underworld, he's already smiling. Master has already passed away. No matter how much this disciple does, he won't be able to see it. Xiaohua got up and respectfully helped Zhuanghu to his seat. He said, This disciple would rather Master be alive and see his happy smile. After Zhuanghu sat down, Xiaohua respectfully invited Xiangyang and Yan Qinglian to sit down. Only then did he want to take action against Xiangyang. Cui Hongshan hurriedly stopped him. He smiled and pointed at his seat at the head. Senior Marshal Brother Xiao, after you left, this seat and the seat that Master was sitting on were both empty. What you're sitting on now is the seat that little brother is sitting on. You must not snatch little brother's seat. Xiaohua looked and smiled. The seat that he was sitting on now was the seat that he sat on when he was angry with Cui Hongshan. He didn't say anything and sat on the right side of Zhuanghu. Soon after, Cui Hongshan and Dui Qiming also sat down. Wu Qing, Xianxia, and Cui Yingying each stood beside their mothers. Alas! Zhuanghu looked at the Immortal's cave and looked at the chair beside her. She didn't know why, but not only was there no joy in her heart, an indescribable sadness welled up in her heart. She turned to look at Xiaohua and said, I'm afraid that today is the most complete day of my myriad Thunder Valley's disciples. From now on, it won't be so complete anymore. Master's wife is wrong, Xiaohua said with a smile. If you look forward, this is naturally the most complete day. But what if you look back? I'm afraid that today will be the day with the least disciples, right? Master's wife. Xiangyang said, Junior Marshal Brother is right. Today is so lively, there's no harm in letting the disciples in. Right. Zhuanghu smiled and said, Seeing you all sad, I forgot about Zhan Quan and the others. Now, they are the backbone of my Thunderclap Palace. Quickly let them in. Dui Qiming hurriedly got up and said, Master's wife, disciple is going back to the Immortal's cave to get some spiritual wine and spiritual fruits. Yan Qinglian opened her mouth, wanting to say something, but she closed it awkwardly. Her body only yawned, but she didn't get up. Xiao Hua saw that the Immortal's cave was shabby and looked similar to before. How could he not know about Myriad Thunder Valley's predicament? He smiled and said, "Junior Martial Sister, there's no need to be busy. When I returned from the other side, I obtained many spiritual fruits from the demon realm. Today, I'll take them out for everyone to taste." Hee, all right, I'll go tidy up the jade table and other things. Dui Qiming smiled and got up, bringing Cui Yingying out. Xiao Hua smiled and said, "Junior Martial Sister, leave Yingying behind. I have something to say to her." Okay. Dui Qiming was overjoyed. She nudged Cui Yingying, hinting her to be smart, and quickly left. Yan Qinglian gave Xiangyang a look and also got up to leave. Taking advantage of the two people leaving, Xiao Hua took out 3 storage pouches from his space and handed them to Xiangyang, Cui Hongshan, and Wuqing. He said, "From now on, the Imperial Lightning Sect will not make things difficult for my Myriad Thunder Valley. Moreover, my Fortune Gate will protect the Myriad Thunder Valley, and the Myriad Thunder Valley's disciples' cultivation won't be a problem. However, it's more convenient to have some spirit stones and spirit pills. Although I've returned, I don't have much time to take care of everyone. You should accept these things." Yes. Xiangyang and Cui Hongshan had suffered a lot due to not having enough spirit stones. Seeing Xiao Hua hand over the storage pouches, they accepted them without hesitation. Wuqing also didn't look at them and passed them to Zhuo Hongwu. Zhuo Hongwu's heart ached for Xiao Hua. She opened the storage pouches while saying, "Xiao Hua, you also, Why are there so many?" Hearing Zhuo Hongwu's exclamation, Xiangyang and Cui Hongshan came to their senses and hurriedly took out their storage pouches. But before they could do so, Xiao Hua laughed and said, "Eldest senior brother, junior brother Cui, don't look at them. Those are just a little bit of this Zhao's appreciation. These things are really nothing compared to our brotherhood." Xiao Hua then stood up and respectfully said to Zhuo Hongwu, "Master's wife, Master's kindness to me is as heavy as a mountain. He even sacrificed himself to save this disciple. What do these spirit stones count for? Even 10 times or 100 times more wouldn't be enough to express this disciple's feelings. There is also a Fortune Gate token inside this storage pouch. Seeing this token is equivalent to seeing this disciple. You can refine it now. No matter what you want to do, as long as you show this token to the Fortune Gate's disciples, your wish will be fulfilled on the Dawn Rain mainland." Xiao Hua's words were not without exaggeration, but Zhuo Hongwu liked to hear it. She grinned from ear to ear as she replied, "What wish could this old woman have, I just want Wuqing to cultivate well and have a bright future like you." Ha. Xiao Hua laughed loudly. "Master's wife, you don't need to worry about this. There's no need to use this token. Your wish will definitely be fulfilled in the future. Mid-nascent soul cultivators with a lifespan of several hundred years can be counted on one hand in the entire Dawn Rain mainland. This old woman knows. This old woman knows." Speaking of her son, Zhuo Hongwu was completely overjoyed. She nodded repeatedly and said, "This is all thanks to you. Otherwise, how could there be Wuqing in this world? This old woman will entrust his future to you." "Master's wife, rest assured." Xiao Hua nodded. "Wuqing is this disciple's junior brother. How could this disciple not take care of him?" While speaking, Xiao Hua took out 3 more storage pouches and handed them to Wuqing, Xianxia, and Cui Yingying respectively. He smiled and said, "Just now, when this old man was explaining, this old man had already checked your cultivation. It's really not bad. It seems that under this old man's guidance, you all will have other opportunities. There are some cultivation methods and spirit pills inside that you all can use." "Thank you, senior brother." Wuqing expressionlessly received the storage pouch without checking it. "Haha, thank you, foster father." Xianxia snatched the storage pouch and opened it to take a look. Cui Yingying was the most shy. She walked over and carefully took the storage pouch without looking at it carefully. She glanced at Wuqing and held it in her hand. P.S. Fellow Taoists who like this book, please go to Qidian to subscribe to support it, vote a monthly vote a recommendation vote, collect a collection, reward, and thank you for all forms of support. Chapter 51-55. Li Er. Xiao Hua transmitted, "There are 2 small bottles in the storage bag. One of them is real, and the other is something I refined based on the real bottle. This small bottle was originally obtained by Bai Fei, and there's a big secret inside. It's the foundation of his cultivation from foundation establishment to nascent soul. Bai Fei injured Wuqing, so I originally wanted to give this to Wuqing. However, he has a strong personality. If he knew that this item belonged to Bai Fei, he would definitely not want it. He might even return it to Bai Fei. Therefore, I'm giving this item to you. I don't know if you're fated to control this item, but you're my adopted son. I'm still willing to give you some opportunities. Ah? Hearing this, Xianxia's eyes turned rapidly, and he hurriedly transmitted, Boy, can you let Wuqing and Yingying use this item? This item might be heaven-defying. It's a rare opportunity in the world. You can't tell anyone about it. Xiaohua solemnly said to Xianxia, just now when Thunderbolt Immortal was taking in disciples, I also gave Thunderbolt Immortal 2 fake bottles. I gave them to Wuqing and Yingying respectively. I also warned them not to tell anyone. With your cultivation, you can't tell the difference between the fake and the real thing. However, in the end, you'll definitely be exposed. I don't know if Bai Fei can live until the day he finds out the truth. However, I know that with Bai Fei's strength, he doesn't know what the real thing looks like. Moreover, Wuqing and Bai Fei might fight. Bai Fei is too shrewd. I'm afraid that Wuqing will be at a disadvantage. This item is in your hands. You have to cultivate diligently and take good care of Wuqing and Yingying. Xianxia was rarely serious. His expression turned cold, and he transmitted, Don't worry, adoptive father. Boy will definitely remember adoptive father's words. However, it was only a moment before Xianxia's expression became lazy again. He smiled bitterly, Adoptive father, how do I refine this item? There doesn't seem to be any refining method? You gave such an important task to boy. How can you succeed without giving him the refining method? This item doesn't need refining. Xiaohua smiled. If it needs refining, how can I take it away from Bai Fei so easily? All right, the boy understands. Xianxia agreed and looked outside the cave. Dui Qiming and Yan Qinglian led a group of junior disciples in happily. After a short while, the jade table and jade table were already set up. There were some spirit wine and spirit fruits on it, but it looked shabby no matter how one looked at it. Hee hee. Cui Hongshan laughed and said, Senior brother Xiao, try the spirit wine and spirit fruits of the myriad Thunder Valley first. All right. Xiao Hua also didn't say that he didn't want to drink spiritual wine. After drinking a cup of spiritual wine and eating a spiritual fruit, he said with a smile, It seems that the days in my myriad Thunder Valley aren't easy. That's right, martial uncle. Zhan Quan knew Xiao Hua's temperament and immediately said, It wasn't just bad, I was almost killed by the sect leader. Oh, there's such a thing? Xiao Hua raised his eyebrows and said indifferently, Fairy Xianhua is really amazing. Sigh, as the sect leader, I naturally have my own ideas. There's no need to talk about this anymore. Zhua Hongyi sighed. It's all in the past. Xiao Hua, why don't you talk about your master? And this disciple knows. Xiao Hua had previously mentioned the favor of saving his life, so he knew that everyone wanted to know the truth. As he spoke, he waved his hand and sent the rich spirit fruits and spirit wine in front of everyone. He picked up an immortal peach and respectfully handed it to Zhua Hongyi. Senior, please try this immortal peach first. After this disciple asks master's wife about a matter, this disciple will slowly tell you. You're talking about this jade slip. Without waiting for Xiao Hua to finish speaking, Zhua Hongyi took out an old jade slip from her bosom and looked at it very carefully. She handed it to Xiao Hua and said, This is what your master left for this old woman before he left. The jade slip said that other than this old woman, no one else can look at this jade slip. Since you're back, take a look first. Xiao Hua didn't take the jade slip but stubbornly handed over the immortal peach and said, Master's wife, please eat the immortal peach first. All right. Zhua Hongyi nodded. She took the immortal peach and handed the jade slip to Xiao Hua. Xiao Hua didn't dare to be negligent and respectfully received it with both hands. However, he didn't immediately look at it. Instead, he waited for Zhua Hongyi to finish eating the immortal peach and asked, Master's wife, how did Master and Shueshui leave the Imperial Thunder Sect that year? Zhua Hongyi was shocked and cried out, You already know that Shueshui. Oh, this old woman understands. Your master's guess in the jade slip was actually true. Ever since Xiaohua returned to the Imperial Thunder Sect and cleaned up the mess with thunderous methods, Zhuohongyi didn't have time to talk to Xiaohua. Naturally, she also didn't have the opportunity to tell Xiaohua about Helplessness's death. However, Xiaohua also didn't ask much, as if he already knew about Helplessness's death. This made Zhuohongyi a bit bewildered. Of course, Zhuohongyi also thought that Xiaohua would inquire about helplessness from others. Zhuohongyi didn't believe it. Helplessness was originally an unknown Jindan disciple of the Imperial Thunder Sect. Now that nearly 1,000 years had passed, apart from the disciples of the Myriad Thunder Valley and the disciples of the Imperial Thunder Sect who were relatively close to them, even in the Imperial Thunder Sect, how many disciples knew the name Helplessness? However, just now, when Xiaohua stepped into the Immortal's cave and immediately knelt down to thank Helplessness for saving his life, Zhuohongyi suddenly thought of Helplessness's jade slip. Therefore, even though Helplessness said that he absolutely couldn't let anyone else see the jade slip, Zhuohongyi still gave it to Xiaohua. He believed that the anyone Helplessness mentioned definitely didn't include Xiaohua. It was also only now that Zhuohongyi completely understood that Helplessness's words in the jade slip were actually true. The mystery that had puzzled him for 1,000 years was finally about to be solved. Little junior brother. Xianxia was worried that Zhuohongyi would be heartbroken and hurriedly said, "Brother also knows about this now. Listen to brother's explanation." "All right." Xiaohua deeply nodded. Xianxia then narrated everything that happened after Helplessness came out of seclusion. Finally, he said, after Master discussed with Shui, he immediately took Shui and left. He only left behind a jade slip and a single sentence. Master's wife kept the jade slip, but those words were engraved in the hearts of brother and the others. Your master told them that he had an urgent matter to attend to and had to leave for a few days. He entrusted the Myriad Thunder Valley to me first. When he returns, he must revitalize the Myriad Thunder Valley and make it the center of attention of all. Zhuohongyi continued, sighing with emotion. He left and never returned. But 1,000 years later, you returned. The Myriad Thunder Valley has already become the center of attention of all. His dream has been realized in your hands. Xiaohua, you don't need to think too much. He is your master, so he should pay the price for you. The sentence, he is your master, so he should pay the price for you, made Xiaohua's nose sour again. He sniffed and said, Master's wife, wait for me to look at the jade slip. I will tell you in detail how Master saved me. Alas, I really don't dare to believe it. Zhuohongyi sighed again and said, he is only a gold core cultivator. Even Reverend Lei Meng couldn't find you. How did they save you? Xiaohua probed the jade slip with his divine sense, but saw that the jade slip contained the last words left behind helplessly more than 600 years ago. Master's wife, just now Shui came over and told me a very unimaginable matter. It was about Xiaohua. Shui's words were vague. I didn't dare to believe it. However, her expression didn't seem to be fake. Although I was doubtful, for Xiaohua, I was willing to choose to believe her. I promised to leave the Imperial Thunder Sect with her. However, when I asked where we were going, she resolutely refused to say. Moreover, she said that if this matter was known by others, Xiaohua's life would definitely be in danger. When I hesitated for a moment, she immediately knelt down and begged. She even took out a magic tool, saying that if I didn't go, she would immediately commit suicide in the quiet room. You also know that I owe Xiaohua too much. For Xiaohua, I am willing to put my life on the line. Therefore, no matter what Shui has in mind, I will go with her. Because it was too hurried, I didn't have time to tell you in detail. I also couldn't let others hear it, so I left this jade slip. Of course, you must remember that this jade slip can only be seen by you. No one else can see it. Because this is related to Xiaohua's life. His plain words did not contain any heroic words. His sincere feelings did not need to move the heavens and the earth. One was a pink jade slip, the other was a yellow jade slip. One was a direct confession to Xiaohua, the other was a warning to Zhuohongyi. 2 jade slips, 2 methods, both were Shui's and Helplessness's deep love for Xiaohua. Xiaohua's tears flowed down unwillingly. It was as if he had returned to the Dawn Rain continent. His heart became increasingly soft. Any familiar matter could make him feel sentimental. Seeing Xiaohua sad, the disciples of the myriad Thunder Valley didn't dare to move. They all stood there quietly, feeling the cold frost in the cave. After a full incense stick's worth of time, Xiaohua calmed down and said respectfully, "Master's wife, what Master said in the jade slip was correct." That day, Disciple was chased by two nascent soul cultivators. If Master and Xue Xue hadn't appeared in time, Disciple would have been captured by them. I'm afraid that Disciple would have ended up begging for death. Two nascent soul cultivators? Zhuo Hongyi was shocked. You were only a golden core disciple at that time. How did you offend two nascent soul cultivators? It's a long story. Disciple also doesn't know what happened. Xiaohua shook his head. That's why Disciple asked Master Zhen Yuan and the Black Bear Spirit to find those two spirit-severing cultivators and capture them to ask about the situation. Two spirit-severing cultivators. Xianxia's eyes turned rapidly. He finally understood why Xiaohua sent the Black Bear Spirit to the Immortal Ascension Sect and the Immortal Music Sect. That day, Disciple left the Imperial Thunder Sect. Xiaohua faced Zhuo Hongyi and the disciples of the Myriad Thunder Valley, and roughly told them what happened in the past several hundred years. When everyone heard that Wu Hai and Xue Xue actually rushed to Xiaohua and the two nascent soul cultivators to lay down a formation and sacrifice their lives without hesitation, they felt sad but also proud. This was because they knew that this kind of master was worthy of their respect and this kind of companion was worthy of their true love. Moreover, they didn't doubt that if Xue Xue found them, they would definitely risk their lives to save Xiaohua. P.S. Fellow Taoists who like this book, please go to Qidian to subscribe to support, vote for a monthly vote, vote for a recommendation vote, bookmark, gift, and thank you for all forms of support. Chapter 51-56. When Xiaohua talked about the three continents, the Yilin continent, and the 10,000 demon realm, the disciples of the 10,000 Thunder Valley were fascinated. They really didn't expect that the Xiaoyu continent, which was like the whole world in their eyes, was just a corner of the Yilin continent, a lost place, and the whole Yilin continent was one of the 4 continents. And above the 4 continents, there was a 10,000 demon realm where the demon clan lived. Looking at Xianxia again, his eyes were even brighter. He gave Wu Qing a look, meaning to discuss with Wu Qing about going to the 10,000 demon realm. Wu Qing rolled his eyes a few times and shook his head slightly. Seeing that Wu Qing ignored him, Xianxia raised his nose, snorted silently, and pricked up his ears to listen. Xiaohua gave a rough account of his experience, which actually took him more than half a day. Everyone in the Myriad Thunder Valley was dumbstruck as they listened. After a long while, they came back to their senses. Zhua **** whispered, Hi, poor Xue Xue, Wu Qing frowned. Senior brother, how do we break the immortal array? Xiaohua shook his head and said to Wu Qing, the so-called immortal array should be made by immortals. With our strength, it's difficult to break it. At this time, I still haven't found a way to break the array. What can little brother help with? Wu Qing asked hurriedly. Xiaohua smiled and waved his hand. You don't have to think too much. Cultivate well and protect the 10,000 Thunder Valley. It's more important than anything. Oh right, you just said that the 10,000 Thunder Valley was almost cleaned up. What's going on? AI. Xiangyang sighed. Isn't it the order of the sect master? Then Xiangyang talked about the situation of the 10,000 Thunder Valley these years. Cui Hongshan also talked about the situation of the Imperial Thunder Sect. Xiaohua listened and sighed. However, this was the internal affairs of the Imperial Thunder Sect, and the 10,000 Thunder Valley was fine now, so Xiaohua didn't say much. Xianxia thought about it for a moment and also reported about his, Wu Qing's, and Cui Yingying's training in the Flame Forest Swamp, their opportunity to find the Lightning Beast's nest, and even their cultivation in the Imperial Thunder Sect. This was the first time the disciples of the 10,000 Thunder Valley heard of these things. Zhuo Wu Qing and the others were really happy for the 3. After everyone finished speaking, Xiaohua looked at Cui Hongshan and asked, When I left the Imperial Thunder Sect, I saw Zhen Hua. Is he still here? Cui Hongshan did not hesitate as he shook his head and said, Of the first team that participated in the Great Sword Dao battle, other than Bai Sugu who had cultivated to the Aurus Core stage, the others such as Zhen Minghui, Su Qing, Zhen Hua, and Chiu Su had all stagnated at the late stage of foundation establishment. They had not broken through until the end of their lives. As for Baisu Valley, they have only cultivated to the early stage of the Golden Core realm. They seem to have fallen 100 years ago. Alas, cultivation is too difficult. Dui Qiming looked around and said, let's not talk about Dui Ling and Ming Mao from back then. Even the disciples of the myriad Thunder Valley, Zhen Fengjie, Yun Qing, Zhen Yaoyong, Ting Tao, Zhen Tingmu, Zhen Xuanfeng, Jianghu, Zhen Xian, and Fan Yuming have all perished long ago. Hearing Dui Qiming talk about her disciple, Yan Qinglian also felt sad. She nodded and said, Junior sister is right. 1,000 years is enough to change a lot. We are lucky to have embarked on the path of cultivation, but it is also sad. That's right. Zhua **** suddenly thought of something. Sun Shu from the Sun Lei Palace often comes here. She seems to have also reached the middle stage of the Golden Core realm. Xiao Hua smiled and replied, when Disciple returned to the Xiaoyu continent, Disciple has already met Martial Uncle Sun Shu and Martial Uncle Zhen Qing. No wonder. Zhua **** suddenly understood. Then, he changed the topic and said, also, what's the matter with the fairy Xianxia that Tian Zhen Yuan mentioned? Xiao Hua didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He hurriedly said, Master's wife will know about this matter in a few days. Disciple won't be tired of talking about it. Oh, that's right. How many disciples are there in the myriad Thunder Valley now? Actually, the disciples of the myriad Thunder Valley were all inside the Immortal's cave. Xiao Hua immediately knew with a sweep of his divine perception that he was just trying to change the topic. Xianxia understood this the best. He hurriedly shouted, Disciples, quickly come and pay your respects. The disciples didn't dare to be negligent. They hurriedly got up, walked to Xiao Hua, and respectfully saluted him. Xiao Hua smiled and helped them up one by one. At the side, Xiangyang also gave a simple introduction. Now, in my myriad Thunder Valley, other than the younger generation disciples you're familiar with, there are still 19 Foundation Establishment disciples and 20 Aura Refining disciples. They are. After hearing the last part, Xiao Hua raised his eyebrows. He looked outside the Immortal's cave and said indifferently, the strength of my myriad Thunder Valley is much stronger than before. Why does Fairy Xianhua want to eliminate it? She acted rashly without carefully investigating. It's really inappropriate. No wonder the Imperial Thunder Sect was targeted by Falling Star Heaven. Cui Hongshan smiled and said, Sect Master also has his own difficulties. You can't blame him. Fairy Xianhua has difficulties. What about Qian Diheng? Xiao Hua said coldly, my myriad Thunder Valley is so poor. He is in charge of a chamber of commerce and is overflowing with wealth. How can he ignore my myriad Thunder Valley? Xianxia smiled slightly. Looking at the place where Xiao Hua was just looking, a meaningful smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. This was because he had found that outside the myriad Thunder Valley, Qian Diheng and spiritual master Quangtian were flying close. Xiao Hua didn't hide his words. When Qian Diheng and spiritual master Quangtian heard it, they were stunned in mid-air, not daring to fly half a step forward. Xiao Hua was catching up with Zhua **** and the others in the myriad Thunder Valley. He didn't answer Zhua **** about Fairy Xianxia, but Fairy Xianxia in the Sky Patrol City was not idle. In the Sentry City, in a transparent hall that looked like a crystal, there were two groups of cultivators discussing something. Behind the few Foundation Establishment cultivators was Fairy Xianxia, who was frowning deeply. At the right time, several rays of sunlight pierced through the thick clouds like sharp swords, crossing the sky and falling on the roof of the hall. The roof of the hall was transparent, and the falling snowflakes either melted or condensed. Pieces of crystals covered the roof of the hall. Some of the crystals were pentagonal, some were tree-shaped, and stacked together to form a strange crystal world. When the sunlight shone on the crystals, it gave off a strange brilliance. The brilliance passed through the roof of the hall and fell on Fairy Xia's body. Fairy Xia was still wearing bright red clothes. Her jade-like face was suffused with a beautiful halo in the red. What was special was that when this brilliance surged down, it flashed with resplendent brilliance amidst the red glow, causing the already alluring Fairy Xia to become even more alluring. Fairy Xia's furrowed brows, drawing out a faint stroke on her beauty. It was truly moving. If there was a bit more it would be too strong, and if there was a bit less it would be too light. Fairy Xia's gaze did not pay attention to the Kai family disciples in front of her. Instead, she looked at the thick dark clouds and drifting snowflakes outside the hall. She did not care about the sunlight falling on her. That kind of silence was like the settling of a dream in the night, heavy and flying. Inadvertently, Fairy Xia seemed to be disturbed by the quarrel between the Kai family disciples and the Yi family disciples. Her jade-like eyelids trembled slightly, and she looked at the Yi family disciples with a gaze that could melt ice. However, before she could see what the Yi family disciples were arguing about, she was suddenly shocked. She looked past the group of disciples and looked at the opposite side of the hall. There, another cultivator was sitting on the same jade chair as Fairy Xia. There was also a jade table in front of him, and on the table were spiritual fruits, spiritual tea, and other things. However, this cultivator was staring at Fairy Xia like a fool. When he saw Fairy Xia looking at him, the cultivator seemed to have woken up from a dream. He hurriedly retracted his gaze and opened his mouth slightly awkwardly. Then he hurriedly waved his hand and picked up the jade cup on the jade table, and said respectfully, "Come, I Yi propose a toast to Fairy Xia. I wish that our Yi family and the Kai family will have a successful cooperation." Fairy Xia covered her mouth and laughed. She said, "Are you mistaken, Brother Yi? This is spiritual tea." "Yes, yes." Yi Xiang hurriedly nodded. He glanced at the jade-green spiritual tea in his hand and said with a smile, "There is a fairy sitting in this hall. I thought it was a paradise and got drunk. Come, I Yi, propose a toast of success with tea in place of wine." Fairy Xia did not raise her cup. Instead, she looked at the busy Kai family disciples in front of her and shook her head. She said, "It is still too early to say that it will be a success. There are too many things that need to be discussed in an alliance between our two families. Moreover, to be honest with you, I have never thought that there would be a Yi family in Huan country. Especially since the Yi family has such a deep foundation. Compared to the Yi family, my Kai family is not worth mentioning. I do not dare to slight you. Yi Jianghu." Hearing Fairy Xia's words, Yi Xiang did not even think about it. He frowned and said, "Have you forgotten the family head's instructions? Luyang's Kai family is the first family that my Yi family and a Dao cultivator family have joined hands. We can simplify all the conditions and do things at our convenience. I am tired of hearing you haggle over every little thing." "Yes, yes, young lord, please calm down." When that cultivator heard Yi Jianghu, sweat immediately appeared on his forehead. He hurriedly turned and bowed to Yi Xiang. "This subordinate understands. This subordinate is used to it." Fairy Xia smiled. Under the annihilation of the sunlight, she really looked like a blooming epiphyllum. Yi Xiang was stunned again. He then heard Fairy Xia raise her jade cup and said, "Haha, many thanks for fellow Taoist Ye's care. Fellow Taoist Yi, please." Cough, cough. Yi Xiang coughed lightly again and raised his cup. "There is no need to thank me. This is all because Fairy has managed the Kai family well and has fallen into the eyes of my Yi family's family head. This subordinate did not help Fairy at all. Fairy, please." As he spoke, Yi Xiang and Fairy Xia raised their cups and drank. While the sword boy was pouring tea, Yi Xiang probed, "Fairy, there is something that this subordinate has some doubts about. I don't know if I should ask." Fairy Xia glanced at the Kai family's disciple who had a joyful expression and was discussing the details with the Yi family's disciple in a low voice. She smiled and said, "Our two families are about to form an alliance. What else is there to say? Fellow Taoist Yi, please speak. Cast a monthly vote, cast a recommendation vote, collect it, tip it, and thank you for all forms of support." Chapter 51-57. "Oh, it's like this." Yi Xiang didn't dare to look at Fairy Xia. Instead, he lowered his head to look at the spirit tea in front of him and said, "Actually, when Xiao Mao mentioned the Kai family in front of me, my heart was moved. After all, Xiao Mao's vision is very high and I've never heard him speak well of anyone in front of me. After he recommended the Kai family, I didn't dare to believe him too much and immediately had the disciples investigate the Kai family situation as well as Fairy's situation. From the information, I found out that the previous Kai family should have been led by Qing Yang's Kai family. The family head also came from Qingyang. Lu Yang was considered a side branch and was basically better than nothing. After that, for some unknown reason, Lu Yang's Kai family's strength suddenly increased and faintly showed signs of surpassing Qin Yang's Kai family. After Qin Yang's Kai family found out, they seemed to want to suppress Lu Yang's Kai family. However, before they could do anything, Fairy stood out and dealt with Qin Yang's Kai family with thunderous methods and even the other branches of the Kai family. Fairy Xianxia smiled and said, "Fellow Taoist Yi is very meticulous. If I didn't deliberately investigate these matters, it really wouldn't be easy to find out." If I remember correctly, Fairy didn't take charge of the Kai family in the beginning. Instead, you chose an elder of Qin Yang's Kai family to do it for you. Yi Shixiang continued, but later on, Fairy's strength increased by leaps and bounds. You actually stepped into nascent soul in a short few hundred years. After Fairy reached nascent soul, she immediately returned to Qingyang from Huanhua sect and asked the family head at that time to pass the family head position to you. You were the family head and established Lu Yang's Kai family as the main branch. Yes. Fairy Xianxia still had a smile on her face and said, "That day when I became a nascent soul master, the sect rewarded me. When the sect head received I took advantage of the situation and raised this request. If it was before the spiritual energy of heaven and earth changed, the sect head would definitely not agree. However, at that time, the cultivation aristocratic families were on the rise. Many disciples of the cultivation sects also held positions in the family. Among them, there was no lack of family head positions. Therefore, after some hesitation, the sect head agreed to I's request." No. Yi Shixiang shook his head slightly and said, "Fairy is wrong. This humble one isn't asking about this. What this humble one wants to ask is, when Fairy first took charge of the Kai family, were you beset with difficulties? Not only did she have to suppress the dissatisfaction of the disciples in the clan, but she also had to worry about the attention of the sect. I really don't know how the Fairy managed to survive. Even if you're pregnant, it's still difficult for you to run a family as a female cultivator." Sigh. Fairy Xianxia was deeply moved. She sighed and did not say anything more. Fairy Xianxia had always been proud and arrogant. How could she possibly let others know of her sorrow? Others might not know how much perseverance is required, how strong of a hand is required, and how brilliant of a person is required to size up the situation. Yi Shixiang continued, "But this one is very clear. It is precisely because of this that I am lazy to hide and not take on any responsibilities in the Yi clan. But after seeing Fairy's experience, I was deeply moved. If a weak woman can do it, why can't I do it? This one must follow Fairy's example and shoulder the Yi clan's present and future on my shoulders. Haha, then congratulations fellow Taoist Yi, congratulations to the Yi clan." Fairy Xianxia squeezed out a smile amidst her bitterness and said, "Fellow Taoist Yi is working hard and will definitely do better than I." Actually. Yi Shixiang's voice was much softer like a mosquito. "I have ambitions in my heart, but the Yi clan is truly too big. I'm afraid my strength will not be enough. If there is someone to help, perhaps it will be better for the Yi clan, for the Kai family." Yi Shixiang's voice became softer and softer. At first, Fairy Xianxia was still somewhat puzzled. But when she heard the end, a trace of surprise flashed through her eyes. At the same time, a wisp of red clouds blew past and landed on her cheeks like a gust of wind. She hastily opened her mouth to stop Yi Shixiang's whispering and said with a smile, "Fellow Taoist Yi is overthinking. The Yi clan has such a great foundation. It's simply too easy to find one or two right-hand men to help you. Just like this fellow Taoist Yi Jianghu, he alone is more than 5 people from our Kai family." Yi Shixiang thought that Fairy Xianxia didn't understand and hastily raised his voice. "Fairy, what this one said." Unfortunately, before he could finish, there was a commotion outside the hall. An elderly cultivator hastily came in and bowed in front of Yi Shixiang. "Young lord." Yi Shixiang was slightly angered. He frowned and said impatiently, "What's the matter?" That cultivator was clearly stunned. He didn't know why Yi Shixiang was acting like this, but he still said respectfully, "There is." At this point, that cultivator hesitated. He glanced at Fairy Xianxia at the side and stopped. If it was before, Yi Shixiang would definitely understand and leave with this cultivator. But now he almost roared, "Since you've come to report, then speak clearly." Of course, after venting his anger, Yi Shixiang immediately understood and hastily restrained himself. He smiled at Fairy Xianxia and said, "The Kai family and my Yi family have already formed an alliance, there's nothing to hide." Yes, this disciple understands. That Yi family cultivator was greatly alarmed and hastily said carefully, "Su Yenyun family's patriarch is outside the hall seeking an audience." Su Yenyun family? Yi Shixiang was even more surprised. He looked at the cultivator and asked, "Why are they here? I don't think I invited them over, right?" "It's the patriarch's idea." That cultivator glanced awkwardly at Fairy Xianxia and said softly, "He said that since we want to talk, why not talk to a few more families that we can form an alliance with? Let the Su Yenyun family's patriarch leave." Yi Shixiang waved his hand coldly and said, "I've already decided to form an alliance with Luyang's Kai family. There's no need to talk to Su Yenyun family anymore." The cultivator hastily said softly, "This is the patriarch's idea." Yi Shixiang frowned and was about to berate him when Fairy Xianxia smiled and said, "Daoist Yi, the Su Yenyun family's patriarch is Yun Jichong, right? Back then, I also had some friendship with him. According to what I know, the Su Yenyun family is also an aristocratic family with roots. It's an extremely good choice for the Yi family. Since Daoist Yi has already decided to work hard for the family, then you can't not meet the Yun family." Fairy Yi Shixiang shook his head and said, "Since I've decided to form an alliance with the Kai family, I definitely won't go back on my words. I won't meet the Yun family's patriarch. Could it be that Fairy wants me to be a fat young master who doesn't keep his words? Or perhaps Fairy doesn't want to form an alliance with my Yi family anymore." Fairy Xianxia waved her hand and said, "Daoist Yi misunderstands. I've been sparring with Daoist Yi in Sky Patrol City for so long. Naturally, I want to form an alliance with the Yi family. Moreover, I also hope to be the first aristocratic family in country of Shi to form an alliance with the Yi family. But the first and second don't have any conflicts? Daoist Yi can always form a second alliance with the Yun family." "Io, isn't that so?" Yi Shixiang slapped his forehead and exclaimed with a look of enlightenment, "Isn't that so? The patriarch didn't say that I can only choose one. If I feel that the Yun family can, I can form an alliance with the Yun family. At that time, the Yun family, Yi family, and Kai family can also form an alliance." As he spoke, Yi Shixiang bowed exaggeratedly and said, "Many thanks for Fairy's guidance." I don't dare." Fairy Xianxia hurriedly returned the greeting. "Daoist Yi just didn't think of it for the time being. I don't dare to take the credit." "Since that's the case, Fairy, please wait here for a moment. I'll be right back." Yi Shixiang stood up and said apologetically, "Daoist Yi, feel free to go." Fairy Xianxia smiled and said, "With your Yi family's elite disciples watching over here, there won't be any mishaps." No. Yi Shixiang smiled and said, "With Fairy here, I can only be at ease. I definitely won't disappoint Daoist Yi." Fairy Xianxia answered very ably and sent Yi Shixiang off with her gaze. After Yi Shixiang left, Fairy Xianxia shook her head slightly and turned back to her jade chair. Just as she was about to place her attention on the disciples who were discussing the details, another figure quietly entered the hall. Fairy Xianxia was startled and looked over. "Isn't that Xiao Mao who hasn't shown himself yet?" Xiao Mao didn't enter the hall. Instead, he stood at the entrance with a smile on his face. Clearly, this hall was an important place for the discussion with the Kai family at night, and he couldn't casually enter. Fairy Xianxia came to her senses and walked to Xiao Mao's side with a smile. "Junior brother Xiao, thank you. It seems like the discussion about the alliance between the Kai family and the Yi family is going very smoothly. It won't be long before we sign the alliance agreement." Xiao Mao smiled and said, "If that's the case, then congratulations, senior sister. The Yi family is indeed very powerful. If the Kai family can form an alliance with the Yi family, it will be very beneficial for the Kai family's future development." "Isn't this all because of your recommendation?" Fairy Xianxia seemed very happy and said, "After this matter is settled, I have to thank you." "Senior sister, why are you being so courteous with me?" Xiao Mao hurriedly waved his hand and said, "Besides, it's just a small matter for me. The most important thing is the Kai family's strength and senior sister's methods." Hearing this, Fairy Xianxia suddenly thought of Yi Shixiang's words. She frowned slightly and opened her mouth to say something. However, Xiao Mao didn't notice Fairy Hongxia's frown. Instead, he looked into the hall and transmitted his voice. "Senior sister, I have something to discuss with you. Please come with me." Fairy Hongxia was stunned and smiled. "Xiao Mao, the matter of the alliance agreement will be discussed by the disciples. I am also bored in this hall. Is there a place to breathe some fresh air nearby?" "Oh, is that so?" Xiao Mao pretended to ponder. After a moment he smiled and said, "What a coincidence. I know of a bird's eye view nearby. It's a place to admire the beautiful scenery of the snow region. If senior sister wants to go, please come with me." "All right." Fairy Hongxia nodded. She turned around and gave a few instructions to the disciples of the Kai family. Then, she followed Xiao Mao out of the hall. Xiao Mao led Fairy Hongxia around a few halls. Sure enough, there was a rather large balcony in front of them. The balcony was covered by a cluster of sword lights. The fluttering snowflakes didn't fall. Standing on the balcony and looking into the distance, one could see a corner of the Sky Patrol City's city wall. Outside the city wall, the continuous mountain ranges were creeping in the snow. Several snow eagles flapped their wings and flew in and out of the clouds. The snowy dance that blocked one's vision covered the vast sky and earth. It was a boundless view of the Northern Kingdom. P.S. Fellow cultivators who like this book, please subscribe to it at Qidian. Vote for it, vote for it, vote for it, give it as a reward. Chapter 51-58. Although Fairy Hongxia had some doubts, she could not help but admire the beautiful scenery. Unfortunately, Xiao Mao was not in the mood to appreciate it. He looked to his left and hurriedly whispered, "Senior sister, I saw Yun Guichong just now." "My no." Fairy Hongxia calmed down and smiled. Just now, a disciple from the Yi clan said that the head of the Yun clan, Su Yanyan, had come. Yi Shixiang had already gone to receive him. "I think it must be Yun Guichong." So senior sister already knows. Xiao Mao was surprised and asked, "Could it be that the disciple did not hide from you when he reported?" That disciple did not want to say, but Yi Shixiang asked him too. Fairy Hongxia replied faintly, "I'm afraid he wanted to express his sincerity." Xiao Mao looked at Fairy Hongxia and said meaningfully, "This young master of the Yi clan can't be underestimated. I feel that I have misjudged him previously." "I'm not bad." Fairy Hongxia nodded. "When I first saw him, I also thought that he was a playboy. But recently, I feel that he is not as simple as you and I thought." Hearing Fairy Hongxia's words, Xiao Mao was greatly relieved. He then said, "However, senior sister, you have to be careful. Yun Zhaochong's arrival may ruin the alliance between the Yi clan and the Kai clan. Senior sister's trip to Sky Patrol City will be in vain." "Actually," Fairy Hongxia looked at Xiao Mao and smiled. "Whether the alliance is successful or not, I don't care. After all, most of the Yi clan's power is in Huan country. My Kai clan can't rely on the Yi clan for many things. On the other hand, the Yi clan doesn't seem to have enough power in the three countries. Relying on my Kai clan alone is not enough. They still need to contact other aristocratic families like the Yun clan. This is not beyond my expectations." Xiao Mao was stunned at first, then he smiled bitterly and bowed. "I understand now. So I am the one who benefits. Little brother originally wanted to seek some benefits for senior sister. Haha, let's not talk about this anymore." Fairy Hongxia smiled. "It's not right to say that my Kai clan does not benefit at all. Anyway, this is beneficial to both of us." Xiao Mao nodded and said softly, "I understand. However, little brother still has something to discuss with senior sister." "Is there anything else?" Fairy Hongxia asked curiously. "Senior sister, have you been in contact with Lu Yang recently?" Xiao Mao looked around again and asked. Fairy Hongxia shook her head and said, "My Kai family doesn't have any disciples in the vicinity of Sky Patrol City. In order to respect the Yi family and reduce the scruples of sword cultivators, I didn't send any messages to my family after arriving at Sky Patrol City." No wonder senior sister didn't notice. Xiao Mao suddenly understood and said, "It turns out that senior sister didn't send a message out of Sky Patrol City at all. What's wrong?" Fairy Xianxia was shocked. Junior brother Xiao, what happened? Maybe I'm being paranoid. Xiao Mao smiled apologetically. I've gone to the outskirts of Sky Patrol City to send messages a few times, but I haven't received any reply. If it's not that the message hasn't been sent out, then it's that it hasn't been sent in. In any case, something must have gone wrong. It's fine if it happens once or twice, but if it happens every time, it means that the security of Sky Patrol City has been strengthened. Sky Patrol City has nothing to do with the Yi clan. Fairy Xianxia frowned. The Yi clan is just borrowing Sky Patrol City's territory. Could this matter be related to the Yi clan? Xiao Mao looked around and replied in an uncertain tone, I don't know if Sky Patrol City has anything to do with the Yi clan. But since the Yi clan can occupy these palaces in Sky Patrol City, in the eyes of Sky Patrol City, the Yi clan is no small matter. Fairy Xianxia smiled and said, maybe there are some changes in Sky Patrol City. However, I feel that whether it's I or the Kai family of Luyang, we're insignificant in the eyes of sword cultivators. These changes have nothing to do with us. I'll form an alliance with the Yi clan as soon as possible and rush back to Luyang as soon as possible. Xiao Mao thought about it and agreed. Fairy Xianxia was just a nascent soul female cultivator and the Kai family had just emerged. It was impossible for her to be noticed by Sky Patrol City. All these changes could not be related to Fairy Xianxia. That's fine too. Xiao Mao smiled. Senior sister, hurry up and urge Yi Shixiang to settle the matter between the two families and leave Sky Patrol City as soon as possible. Fairy Xianxia and Xiao Mao did not suspect anything. One returned to the main hall while the other left in a hurry. Back to the country of Xi's Imperial Thunder Sect, in the cave of the 10,000 Thunder Valley. Xiao Hua's voice fell and Xiangyang hurriedly explained, Junior brother, you can only say this to us. You must not say it in front of Qian Diheng. Otherwise, you'll hurt junior brother Qian's heart. So, I've misunderstood him? Xiao Hua was stunned. He looked at the old jade table and jade chair and was somewhat puzzled. Master Zhua smiled. Of course you've misunderstood Qian Diheng. He and Sun Shu are your good friends. Ever since you went missing, he and Sun Shu often came to my 10,000 Thunder Valley. Of course, Sun Shu did not have any official business and came many times. He was often not in the Imperial Thunder Sect, so he rarely came. But whenever he came back, he would definitely come. He never came empty-handed, more or less. He would bring spiritual stones and elixirs. That's what my 10,000 Thunder Valley deserves. Xiao Hua sneered. That year, I gave him a lot of spiritual stones, spiritual herbs, elixirs and so on. The so-called Rejuvenation Chamber of Commerce was mainly provided by me. Cui Hongshan pondered a little and stood up. Senior brother Xiao, I also want to say a few words of justice for junior brother Qian. And say it. Xiao Hua nodded. But under his transcendence energy, the words in the cave were not leaked, so Qian Diheng did not hear it. What senior brother Xiao said is true. Cui Hongshan smiled. After all, the Rejuvenation Chamber of Commerce must have some foundation to be successful. My Imperial Thunder Sect never had this kind of plan, nor did we have this kind of ability. Qian Diheng suddenly established the Rejuvenation Chamber of Commerce. Without senior brother's support, this Rejuvenation Chamber of Commerce couldn't have been established. It can be said that senior brother, even if my 10,000 Thunder Valley took 70% of this Rejuvenation Chamber of Commerce's profits, it's normal. Of course. Xiao Hua said proudly. Even 90% is reasonable. Cui Hongshan nodded and said, but senior brother Xiao, you forgot. You threw down a pile of spiritual stones, spiritual herbs, and elixirs, then left and disappeared. How do you expect us Foundation Establishment disciples to bear 90% of the Rejuvenation Chamber of Commerce's profits? 700 years. Do you still expect a person to remember your contributions, to recall them every day and night? To put it bluntly, these things that you left for my 10,000 Thunder Valley, if not for Qian Diheng deliberately diluting and concealing them, they might have been the main reason for my 10,000 Thunder Valley's extermination. Xiao Hua smiled faintly and did not say much, hinting Cui Hongshan to continue. Moreover, after the Rejuvenation Chamber of Commerce was noticed by the Great Thunder Hall, my Imperial Thunder Sect increased its investment, and now it has become a famous Chamber of Commerce in the state of Xi. Cui Hongshan understood and continued, in this process, senior brother's contributions have already weakened. Not only senior brother, Qian Diheng himself can't make decisions in many places, let alone take care of my 10,000 Thunder Valley. At this point, Cui Hongshan looked around and pointed at Jianghu and the others. He said, the number of disciples in 10,000 Thunder Valley increased, but the supplies of Imperial Thunder Palace were limited, and the elixirs that Jianghu and the others used for cultivation were always insufficient. Although junior brother was in the Thunder Hall, the elixirs that he could find were limited. Now that they were able to step into the Golden Core and Foundation establishment stage, a small portion of the elixirs were provided by Qian Diheng. Ah? Xianxia was slightly stunned and asked curiously, how come I didn't know about this? Junior brother Qian didn't? Cui Hongshan smiled and said, senior brother is right. Qian Diheng has a bad impression of junior brother and avoids meeting junior brother. Master's wife just said that every time Qian Diheng returned to the Imperial Thunder Sect, he would come to 10,000 Thunder Valley to pay his respects. Similarly, every time he would send junior brother a message asking about 10,000 Thunder Valley's necessities. Even if junior brother didn't reply, he would still send some elixirs. Feng Liha hurriedly got up and said, Martial uncle, junior brother doesn't know about these things, but once junior brother met Martial uncle Qian outside the Imperial Thunder Sect. He even asked junior brother to bring some elixirs for master. Junior brother can testify to this. Xianxia understood and smiled. Let's not talk about other things. Previously, before the 100 Halls competition, Qian Diheng gave senior brother an armor, saying that he found it for crazy heaven. He knew that senior brother was going to the Thunder Arena, so he gave it to senior brother without saying anything. Is that so? Xiaohua smiled and stood up. He looked at the cave and saw that Qian Diheng was already standing there. Although there was a bit of embarrassment on his face, he still walked in firmly. Xiaohua looked at Qian Diheng and asked, You're here. Qian Diheng looked at Xiaohua and took a deep breath. He said word by word, I have already heard what you said just now. Presumably, you wanted me to hear it. I originally wanted to turn around and leave, but I felt that I should make things clear. I did what I should do. I have a clear conscience. If you think. Without waiting for Qian Diheng to finish, Xiaohua walked in front of Qian Diheng, opened his arms, and embraced Qian Diheng. He patted Qian Diheng's back and said with a smile, Since we are brothers, there is no need to say anything more. Explaining one more word will make the brotherhood forged by time fade. Xiao. Senior brother Xiao. Qian Diheng's body stiffened. His eyes reddened. He patted Xiaohua's back with his hand and said, I, your father, have never been hugged by a man before. Quickly let go. Ha ha. Xiaohua laughed and let go of his arms. He pointed to the jade chair next to him and said, Sit down. I already saw you just now, but at that time, things were urgent and I didn't have time to talk to you. You don't have to take it to heart. Okay. Qian Diheng saw that Xiaohua didn't have the kind of power he had just seen. Whether it was his bearing or speech, it was the same as it was 1,000 years ago. He nodded with a smile and sat on the jade chair without being too polite. You're late. Xiaohua smiled and raised his cup. I have already finished talking about my experiences in these years. I don't want to say it a second time. If you want to know, you can ask senior brother and the others. Come, it's been hard for you to take care of my myriad Thunder Valley all these years. Let me give you a toast. P.S. Fellow Taoists who like this book, please go to Qidian to subscribe to support, vote for a month, vote for a recommendation, collect, reward, and thank you for all kinds of support. Chapter 51-59. If it's because of this, I don't want to drink this cup. Qian Diheng took the jade cup and smiled. Because this is what you entrusted me before you left, and this is what I should do. This cup should be to congratulate you on your safe return. Good brother. Xiaohua smiled and said, Let's drink this cup first. Okay. Qian Diheng didn't say much and opened his mouth. The spirit wine brewed from the immortal peach entered his stomach. In a flash, Qian Diheng's eyes widened. Without putting down the jade cup, he shouted, Brother Xiao, what kind of spirit wine is this? How much do you have? Damn it, if this wine is placed in the auction. Don't worry. Xiaohua smiled and looked at this little miser. He pointed at the immortal peach that the refinement disciple gave to Qian Diheng and said, "Try this first." "What kind of good thing is this?" Qian Diheng couldn't wait to pick it up. He first smelled it and said, "If it's auctioned, I'm afraid it will cost 10 upper-grade spirit stones." Then, Qian Diheng ate the immortal peach. This spirit fruit. Qian Diheng naturally ate a lot of spirit fruits. When he ate the immortal peach, he immediately understood that it was extraordinary and exclaimed, 10 spirit stones is not enough, but at least 100. Tise. Xiaohua snorted and said, "Really ignorant. This thing can replenish one's lifespan and is comparable to the rejuvenation pill. 100 upper-grade spirit stones is nothing." "No way." Qian Diheng was stunned. In a flash, his figure flashed and appeared next to Xiaohua. He said shamelessly, "Brother, how many more immortal peaches do you have? Let's talk. Give some to my Rejuvenation Chamber of Commerce? Oh, don't forget, the Rejuvenation Chamber of Commerce is also yours. With these immortal peaches, the Rejuvenation Chamber of Commerce will become the #1 Chamber of Commerce in the Dawn Rain continent." Looking at Qian Diheng's unscrupulous appearance, Xiaohua smiled and shook his head. "Besides me, the other one is Immortal Emperor Go Chen from the Immortal Palace. This kind of heaven and earth spirit item cannot be sold." Immortal Palace? Immortal Emperor Go Chen? Qian Diheng didn't understand and scratched his head. Who is that? A place that is 100 times more powerful than the Immortal Alliance. Xiaohua said with a smile, "When you go back and ask junior brother Cui and the others, you will know. There are 3 huge continents there, with Zhaixing Lu, Luo Yi Merchant Alliance, and other merchant alliances that are 1,000 times bigger than your Return of Spring Chamber of Commerce." "Oh my!" Qian Diheng understood and shouted, "Senior brother Xiao, so you went to the Defeat Oak Immortal Union?" "Well, more or less." Xiaohua was too lazy to explain, and only said, "If you want to establish the Grand Rejuvenation Chamber of Commerce, then you can cooperate with my Fortune Gate in the future." The star-plucking pavilion you mentioned earlier is my Fortune Gate's business union. As for these immortal peaches, even Zhaixing Lu cannot sell them. You should take advantage of the current situation and eat more. I understand. Qian Diheng said as he instantly floated back to his seat. Holding 2 immortal peaches in his hands, he took a bite from the left and a bite from the right. After he finished eating, he stuffed a few more into his bosom. Finally, he looked at Xiaohua and asked, "Senior brother, do you have any more?" "No more." Xiaohua looked at him snappily, and raised his hand to give him a jade token. He said, "This is your brother's token. In the future, you can use this to contact my Fortune Gate sect master and discuss matters regarding the Chamber of Commerce." "I haven't eaten enough, senior brother." Qian Diheng took the jade token and looked at Xiaohua somewhat shamelessly. He whispered, "Can you give me a few more?" "Junior brother Qian, I have some here." Xiangyang was obedient and hurriedly took out the immortal peaches on his jade table to give to Qian Diheng. Xianxia hurriedly stopped him and said, "Father, don't mind martial Uncle Qian, he already stuffed 3 immortal peaches into his storage pouch." "Martial nephew you are also a nascent soul ancestor." Qian Diheng dragged out his tone and said, "Why don't you empathize with martial uncle, a golden core disciple Even if you don't empathize with martial uncle, you should empathize with martial uncle's Dao companions Xianxia even raised his voice and pretended to be surprised. "It can't be, martial Uncle Qian, you actually have 3 Dao companions." Cough cough. Qian Diheng coughed a few times and said, "Lower your voice, 3 immortal peaches. Isn't it not enough to share?" "Pff." Xianxia laughed and said, "Your body is really good." Although Xianxia said so, Xiangyang still gave the immortal peaches on the jade table to Qian Diheng. Qian Diheng accepted them without saying anything and then sat down with satisfaction. Zhua **** is very happy. Looking at the other disciples of Myriad Thunder Valley in the cave, she said, "Children, you all have worked hard. This old one has made the decision. Today, everyone will get 3 immortal peaches. You must finish them all." "Master's wife Xiaohua said with a bitter smile, "You are so generous, making things difficult for this disciple. You have also given away the remaining stock." Zhua **** smiles and said, "Who asked this old one to be your master's wife Xiaohua smiled and took out some immortal peaches from the space, adding a few more immortal peaches in front of everyone. However, there was none in front of Qian Diheng. It seems that Xiao Hua did it on purpose. Senior Marshal Brother Xiao. Qian Diheng said with a sad face. It can't be, right? Your family only needs these 3 immortal peaches. AI, Junior Marshal Brother Qian, even the landlord doesn't have any extra food Xiao Hua said sincerely and stood up again, looking outside the cave. In just a moment, Zhen Qing and Sun Qian came in with Sun Shu. Sun Shu walked a few steps forward and bowed to Zhua *****. Greetings to Martial Uncle. Zhua *****'s face showed a smile. She walked down from the top and helped Sun Shu up, saying, I just heard from Xiao Hua that before he returned to the Imperial Thunder Sect, you had already met. This is fate Martial Uncle. How could Sun Shu not know Zhua *****'s plan? After Zhen Qing and Sun Qian finished greeting Zhua *****, he changed the topic with some embarrassment and said, You didn't see Senior Marshal Brother Zhao's power that day Facing 2 nascent soul cultivators, he didn't even bother to make a move and only sent his own disciples to kill them. Oh, also, do you remember the last 2 most powerful weapon cultivators in the sword battle? They didn't even have the power to fight back against Senior Marshal Brother Xiao. I know. Zhua ***** was happy to hear this. His train of thought was obviously led astray by Sun Shu. He said with a smile, What you said doesn't count for much. You didn't see in front of the guest pavilion that Xiao Hua killed the Immortal Alliance's deputy alliance leader Luo with 1 palm and forced Sun Yunzi of the Xianghua sect to commit suicide. While the 2 female cultivators were chattering, Zhen Qing and Sun Qian finished greeting Xiao Hua. Zhen Qing sighed and said, Spiritual Master Xiao, I have seen you before. Logically speaking, there is no need for me to come see you now. But, after hearing your great power and saving my Imperial Thunder Sect from the danger of being destroyed, I feel that I should still come and thank you. Martial Uncle is too polite. Xiao Hua said with a smile, This is what I should do. Since Spiritual Master doesn't forget his roots, I am relieved. Zhen Qing didn't delay and replied, I have finished thanking you, so I won't disturb the reunion of the 10,000 Thunder Valley disciples. Goodbye. Oh. Xiao Hua was slightly stunned and hurriedly said, Martial Uncle, why don't we drink a cup of spiritual wine first? No. Zhen Qing looked at Sun Qian and said meaningfully, What is lost is lost. What should be gained now is lost. What is missed may not be missed. There is still time to redeem it. After saying this, Zhen Qing turned and left with Sun Qian, not calling Sun Shu again. Xiao Hua immediately understood Zhen Qing's meaning. Zhen Qing didn't come to thank the Imperial Thunder Sect for their grace. He clearly came to pull the female supporting lead. Xiao Hua helped him and Sun Qian get married, so he also wanted Sun Shu to be with him. Xiao Hua felt awkward but also grateful. He sent Zhen Qing and Sun Qian out of the cave. When they reached the entrance of the cave, Zhen Qing seemed to have thought of something and said, Spiritual Master Xiao, there is no need to send us off. There is something I didn't want to say, but since we are here, it's better to say it. Martial Uncle, please say it. Xiao Hua said with a smile, Why are you being so polite with me? It is impossible for a person to make mistakes in their life, but if they know they are wrong. Zhen Qing said with slight hesitation. However, before he could finish, Xiao Hua shook his head and said, Martial Uncle, please don't say it. I can forgive some people for their mistakes, but some people are ungrateful and even bite the hand that feeds them. I can forgive them if I don't kill them. Why should I forgive them? Bite the hand that feeds you? Zhen Qing was stunned and asked curiously, That's not possible, right? Xiao Hua said with a smile, Martial Uncle wasn't in the Imperial Thunder Sect before, so you naturally don't know about the 100 Palace competition. My 10,000 Thunder Valley senior brother was almost beaten to death. How can I forgive him? Zhen Qing was a bit embarrassed and said with a smile, I see. Since that's the case, just pretend I didn't say anything. Yes, Martial Uncle, please. Xiao Hua said with a smile. In the future, if you need anything, you can come to the 10,000 Thunder Valley. Wuxia and the others should be able to help. Hee, I know. Zhen Qing cupped her hands. Sun Qian didn't say anything and accompanied Zhen Qing with a happy expression. At this moment, she was flying in the air and said in a low voice, Taoist Master Xiao, didn't you say it before? Giving others a chance is also giving yourself a chance. Today, I will say these words to you. Sun Shu is a good girl. Cough cough. Xiao Hua hurriedly coughed a few times and said, Thank you, Taoist son. After sending Zhen Qing and Sun Qian off, Xiao Hua coldly looked at the distant sky and then turned around and entered the cave. Inside the cave, Sun Shu was beaming with joy as she told everyone about how Xiao Hua killed Taoist Master Soaring Dragon and Fairy Luo Hua. Seeing Xiao Hua return, she paused for a moment. Clearly, she was clear about Zhen Qing and Sun Qian's intentions. Following Sun Shu's gaze, Qian Diheng also had a complicated gaze. Qian Diheng came to see Xiao Hua, but more importantly, he wanted to bring Taoist Master Quangtian to ask for forgiveness from Xiao Hua. However, with just a few words from Xiao Hua, Qian Diheng felt that there was a gap between him and Xiao Hua. He couldn't even protect himself, so naturally, he couldn't bring Taoist Master Quangtian along. After Qian Diheng told Xiao Hua about the matter, he kept trying to find an excuse to talk about Taoist Master Quangtian. However, he tried a few times. Facing Xiangyang, who was almost killed by Qian Ding, and facing Xianxia, who already knew his intentions and was always on guard against him, he couldn't find an opportunity to talk. At this moment, Qian Diheng saw Xiao Hua come in and hurriedly got up. However, before he could get up, Xianxia walked over with a smile and a jade cup in his hand and said, Martial Uncle Qian, come, let this little nephew toast you. P.S. Fellow Taoists who like this book, please go to Qidian to subscribe to support, vote for a monthly vote for a recommendation vote, collect, gift. Chapter 5160. Alas! Seeing Xianxia stop him again, Qian Diheng simply sighed and said, Xianxia, you're also a nascent soul master now. Don't lower yourself to the same level as a Jin Dan disciple, okay? Xianxia smiled and said, Look at what martial Uncle Qian is saying. You're my martial uncle. How can I lower myself to your level? Your words are the golden rule in this little nephew's opinion. In that case, don't stop me. Qian Diheng said and was about to walk away again. Unfortunately, how could Xianxia let Qian Diheng pass? He smiled and said, If martial uncle wants to leave, you have to drink this cup, right? Martial uncle drank a lot with you just now. What's this cup for? Qian Diheng saw that he couldn't pass and could only ask, As long as you say it clearly, martial uncle will naturally drink it. Hee, is there a need to say it? Of course, it's to thank your heavenly Thunder Palace for taking care of me during the 100 Halls competition. Xianxia said with a smile. Of course, I have to thank martial uncle for taking out the spiritual armor before my father went up on stage. Alas, martial nephew Xiang. Hearing this, Qian Diheng let out a sigh of relief. Without saying a word, he drank the spiritual wine first and then said, Your words have touched my heart. Martial uncle must drink this wine. But after drinking it, you have to listen to martial uncle's words. Yes, martial uncle, please say it. Xianxia replied with a smile. I know you hate my great-grandfather, and I also know his attitude towards the myriad Thunder Valley was really unfair. Qian Diheng said in a low voice. But look at it the other way around. If it weren't for his support, I wouldn't have been able to control the Rejuvenation Chamber of Commerce for so long, and I wouldn't have been able to take care of the myriad Thunder Valley. In fact, every time I came to the myriad Thunder Valley, he knew and even scolded me many times. However, he didn't forcefully stop me. This is your business. Xianxia's face was somewhat cold as he replied. If it weren't for your concern for the myriad Thunder Valley, if it weren't for you being his son, how could he have tacitly allowed you to come? The gratitude of the myriad Thunder Valley can only be placed on you. It's impossible for it to fall on him. Martial Uncle Qian, think about it. After the 100 Halls competition, what did he say? Did he ever regret it? In the battle for the Palace Lord of the Heavenly Thunder Palace, wasn't he still planning to join forces with Bai Fei to defeat Wuqing first? If my foster father hadn't returned to the myriad Thunder Valley, would he have come here to beg for forgiveness? This. Qian Diheng opened his mouth and wanted to say something, but Xiao Hua walked over with a smile and said, Brother, I already know about this matter. Let's not talk about anything else. Previously, Taoist Quangtian gave you face and didn't make things difficult for Taoist Quangtian. From now on, I, Wu Qing Li and the other disciples of Myriad Thunder Valley will also give you face and not make things difficult for Taoist Quangtian. Is that enough? He treated my eldest senior brother like that. It's already good enough that we didn't make trouble for him. If you want me to forgive him, I'm sorry, brother. I haven't cultivated to that level yet. Speaking up to here, Xiaohua hurriedly urged. You should hurry up and stop him from coming in. Don't engage in some shady business of offering a humble apology. Otherwise, it wouldn't look good for everyone. Sigh, I understand. Qian Diheng got a clear answer from Xiaohua and sighed. I will go now. As long as senior brother promises not to make things difficult for my great-grandfather in the future, I will be satisfied. He, you can rest assured about this. Xiaohua patted Qian Diheng's shoulder and said, I have already cultivated to this level. As Xiaohua expected, Qian Diheng didn't return after going out. He must have gone to accompany Taoist Quangtian. Regarding Taoist Quangtian, Xiaohua couldn't say how he felt. If he repaid kindness with enmity, it wouldn't be so serious. But if he only said that he was a wolf of the mountain, it would be whitewashing him. Just based on the fact that he asked Qian Diheng to be ruthless in the 100 Halls competition, Xiaohua wanted to cripple his cultivation. However, there was a Qian Diheng between the 10,000 Lightning Valley and Taoist Quangtian. In any case, Qian Diheng was very good to the 10,000 Lightning Valley, so Xiaohua couldn't be ruthless. Moreover, although the Imperial Lightning Sect had avoided a calamity, they had lost 30% of their disciples. They really needed a nascent Soul Realm master like Taoist Quangtian to step forward. Xiaohua couldn't destroy Taoist Quangtian for the sake of the Imperial Lightning Sect. Since he couldn't deal with Taoist Quangtian, then he might as well not meet him. Only Taoist Quangtian could bear the consequences. In the future, the Dawn Rain mainland would be the Fortune Gates world. If Taoist Quangtian really wanted to poke a hole in the sky, the Fortune Gates disciples would kill him. Xianxia had been paying attention to Xiaohua's conversation with Qian Diheng. Seeing that Qian Diheng had left, he hurried over and asked in a low voice, Junior brother, is Taoist Quangtian here? Xiaohua clearly heard that this junior brother was definitely not junior brother Xiao. It was the same name Xianxia had always called him when he met him in the past. Xiaohua smiled faintly and said, Isn't that obvious? Qian Diheng came to the 10,000 Lightning Valley for this. No. Xianxia laughed and said, I know junior brother Qian's character very well. He mainly came to see you. As for Taoist Quangtian, he just misunderstood my 10,000 Lightning Valley. Xiaohua sneered and said, He can misunderstand me, but he can't take his anger out on the 10,000 Lightning Valley. This kind of narrow-minded person won't be able to achieve anything great. Xianxia answered, The problem is, Wuqing is about to become the Heavenly Thunder Palace's palace master. Taoist Quangtian has great influence in the Heavenly Thunder Palace. Offending him is not good for Wuqing. Xiaohua waved his hand and said, Eldest senior brother, you don't need to care about this kind of thing. Offending him. Junior brother is too lazy to offend him. But you, eldest senior brother, after consuming the peach of immortality, your lifespan has been replenished. You still need to cultivate diligently and step into the nascent soul realm as soon as possible. Nascent soul. Xianxia smiled bitterly and said in a low voice, Junior brother, to be honest, the current golden core realm is something that senior brother could not even dream of. How can senior brother cultivate to the nascent soul realm with his remaining lifespan? Since that's the case. Xiaohua patted Xiangyang's shoulder with a smile and said, Eldest senior brother, come with me. I'll help you repair your gold core, and then I'll teach Li, and the others about the Tao of lightning cultivation. Okay. Xiangyang hurriedly nodded when he heard that Xiaohua wanted to teach Xiangzhi and the others. But before he could turn around to call Xiangzhi, Zhuahongzhu called out, Xiaohua, quickly come over here. Master's wife. Is there something you need? Xiaohua hurried over and asked respectfully. Zhuahongzhu shook her head and said, This old one has nothing to do, but Sun Shu has something to tell you. Xiaohua raised his eyebrows and asked curiously, Junior sister Sun, what is it? Sun Shu's face turned red, and she hurriedly took out a jade slip and handed it to Xiaohua, saying, Senior brother, on the way back to the Imperial Thunder Sect, Junior sister saw a transmission jade slip from the Dawn Rain mainland's Fortune Gate. Junior sister looked at it, and it seemed, it was related to Fairy Xia's engagement, so junior sister took it. Junior sister rushed over today specifically to deliver this jade slip to senior brother. This Xiao already knows about this matter. Xiao Hua's expression didn't change as he nodded. He then turned to Zhuangzhu and said, "This is the jade slip that Master Zhen Yuan gave to Disciple. Disciple has already ordered the Fortune Gate to head to Sky Patrol City." Senior brother. Sun Shu hurriedly urged, "Don't be too careless. If this matter is not handled properly, Fairy Xianxia might be unhappy." Xiao Hua grinned and said, "Junior sister, don't worry. The jade slip clearly states that there is still a month before the engagement." With the Fortune Gate's disciples' speed, they will arrive at Sky Patrol City in less than a month. That's good. Sun Shu was relieved and smiled sweetly. Junior sister has heard senior sister Shui praising Fairy Xianxia. She is a good match for senior brother. I hope senior brother won't miss this wonderful marriage. Thank you, junior sister, for your blessings. Xiao Hua smiled, but in his heart, he felt a little awkward. Then little sister won't stay any longer. Sun Shu finished speaking and was about to leave, but Zhua **** didn't wait for her to finish speaking and pulled her back. "Child, you can't go. This old woman hasn't tasted the spirit fruit and spirit wine that Xiao Hua brought back. If you leave, who will accompany this old woman?" Hee hee. Xiao Hua laughed and said, "In that case, junior sister Sun, accompany master's wife to drink a few more cups. Here are some rare spirit fruits on the Dawn Rain continent. Accompany master's wife to taste them." Xiao Hua took out another storage pouch and handed it to Sun Shu. "Okay." Seeing that Xiao Hua didn't treat her as an outsider, Sun Shu smiled sweetly and accepted the storage pouch. She knew clearly that this person in front of her. She could only look at him from afar. "Master's wife." Xiao Hua reported, "Disciple has something to do and needs to rush to Sky Patrol City. Disciple wants to take advantage of the time to help senior brother repair his gold core and give Wuxia and the others some pointers in their cultivation." Good. Zhuangzhu heard and said good a few times, urging, "Go quickly." "Oh right," called Qinglian, Hongshan, and Qiming together. Xiao Hua didn't intend to call the three of them, but after thinking for a while, he smiled and said, "Okay." Xiangyang was at the side. After hearing, he hurriedly transmitted a message to Cui Hongshan and the others. After the three of them knew, they were overjoyed and hurriedly got up. "Zhen Quan." Xiao Hua glanced and ordered, "Take care of Grandmaster and the others. I have something to tell your master and the others. Don't let others disturb us." "Yes, Martial Uncle Xiao." Zhen Quan hurriedly got up. Zhan Yetao and the others also hurriedly left their seats. "I'll go take a look at my cave residence. You all don't have to come out," Xiao Hua said with a smile and hurriedly led Xiangyang and the others out of the cave residence. Although Xiao Hua said so, the disciples didn't dare to take it seriously. They still got up and sent them out, even to the front of Xiao Hua's cave residence. Xiao Hua entered the cave residence and saw that everything was the same as before. He smiled and said to Xiangyang, "Senior brother, you're considerate." Xiangyang shook his head and said, "We basically don't come to your cave residence. It's Li and the others who cultivate here." "Father." Xiangzhili shrugged and said, "There's no other way." Foster Father's cave residence is very rich in heaven and earth spiritual qi. It's the most suitable place for cultivation in our myriad Thunder Valley. Boy doesn't come here. Where can he cultivate? P.S. Fellow Taoists who like this book, please subscribe to it at Qidian, vote for it, vote for it, vote for it, donate it, and thank you for all forms of support. Chapter 5161. Senior Brother Zhao's luck is the best. Dui Qiming covered her mouth and laughed. We were all worried about his life in the myriad Thunder Valley, but he actually cultivated to a level that we didn't even dare to imagine. Xiao Hua said seriously, "Opportunities always go hand in hand with danger. Although I've cultivated successfully, the process was extremely dangerous. The slightest carelessness could have led to eternal damnation. These few hundred years to me are practically tens of thousands of years." "Yes, I understand." Dui Qiming's expression turned cold, and she hurriedly replied, "Thank you for your guidance, senior brother." After Xiaohua finished speaking, he rubbed his hands together, and several rays of crystal light fell into the void, sealing off the cave. Only then did he say, "Of course I won't deny that this Zhao's luck far surpasses your imagination. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to cultivate to such a level in such a short time." Foster father. Xianxia couldn't help but call out, "What level are you at now?" Although Xiaohua had told everyone about his experiences, he never liked to show off. Things like killing a great saint of the demon race or killing a demon venerable of the demon race were all brushed aside by him. So Xianxia and the others weren't clear about Xiaohua's strength. Just as Zhua thought, he was at most at the fusion stage. Xiaohua hesitated for a moment, then said, "Foster father, you're already a supreme of the human race. You might ascend soon." Everyone was shocked, and they all opened their mouths, not knowing what to say. In their minds, ascension was just a word. They didn't know what ascension meant, or what kind of strength one needed to achieve it. "No need to think too much." Xiaohua waved his hand and said, "I'm your senior brother, junior brother, or foster father, no different from before." "He, boy understands." Xianxia giggled and said, "Then foster father, hurry up and ascend. Boy will also go to the immortal world to find you after he ascends." Xianxia smiled, and Xiangyang and the others smiled as well. Their previous solemn expressions slowly disappeared. Xiaohua looked at Xianxia, then at the others, and said with a smile, "Lear is right. In the entire Imperial Thunder Sect, only you few have hope of ascending. Don't forget that all of you have either used the Thunder Beast's inner core to supplement your Taoist foundation, or were born from the Thunder Beast's inner core. Your innate foundation is far superior to that of ordinary people. That's why I took the time to talk to you about the Tao of Lightning Cultivators. I hope that you can successfully cultivate the true lightning escape technique." "Yes, boy understands," Xianxia hurriedly replied. Everyone else nodded in agreement. Xiaohua said to Xiangyang, "Eldest senior brother, let me borrow your broken Jin Dan." "Haha, well said." When Xiangyang heard that his son had a chance to ascend, he was so happy that he couldn't even close his mouth. Not to mention borrowing his Jin Dan, he was even willing to cut off his head. Seeing Xiangyang agree, Xiaohua raised his hand and grabbed, imprisoning Xiangyang's body. With a wave of his hand, Xiaohua pulled Xiangyang in front of him, and then pointed with his finger. Shua! A shadow flashed above Xiangyang's abdomen, and a curtain of light flickered, revealing the shattered golden core in front of everyone. "Take a look," Xiaohua said. "This is the Jin Dan, formed by the condensation of true essence. It contains the laws of heaven and earth and contains the spiritual energy of heaven and earth." Seeing Xiaohua preach again, Xianxia and the others didn't dare to delay. They hurriedly sat down cross-legged and listened attentively. Xiaohua explained the Jin Dan while urging his magic power and divine ability to repair it. When the Jin Dan was repaired, he explained the nascent soul formation technique. Once the nascent soul formation technique was completed, he talked about the spirit severing stage, body fusion stage, and other profound secret techniques one by one. It was 100 times more detailed than the previous discussion. Wu Qing, Xianxia, and Cui Yingying were still fine. They felt an indescribable itch in their hearts when they heard the benefits. However, Xiangyang, Yan Qinglian, Cui Hongshan, and Dui Qiming were confused. However, they also knew that this was the greatest opportunity in their lives. Although they couldn't understand, they still tried hard to remember it. After he finished talking about ordinary cultivation techniques, Xiaohua once again talked about the thunder-controlling sex thunder evasion technique, which was mixed with the most basic cultivation technique, and talked about it again. Xiaohua had completely cultivated the thunder evasion technique, so he knew the secret of it. During his explanation, he generously gave out rare items like fire essence flame crystal, wood essence flame crystal, earth essence yao milk, water essence ice essence, metal essence rising essence, and other rare items. He also gave out the 5 elements evasion technique and so on. After he spoke for 10 days and 10 nights, when he finished speaking, Xiaohua raised his eyes to look outside the cave and said, "The thunder-controlling sex thunder evasion technique is indeed complete, but in reality, it lacks a supplementary cultivation method. Ordinary thunder-controlling sect disciples find it difficult to reach great accomplishment. You all have fate with the Thunder Beast, and your bodies borrow the power of thunder and lightning. Therefore, with the spiritual items I gave you, There is hope that you can cultivate the thunder evasion technique to great accomplishment. Great accomplishment of the thunder evasion technique is enough to allow you to enter the great accomplishment stage. By the time Xiaohua finished speaking, the entire immortal cave had gone silent for an entire meal. Thank you, junior brother. Xianxia opened his eyes, and an indescribable feeling emerged from the bottom of his heart. He had cultivated for his entire life, but never once had he listened to such a rich lecture. Xiaohua looked at the other people sitting cross-legged, and said with a smile, "Senior brother, your aptitude is the worst. However, you have the advantage of tenacity. Slowly cultivate, your future path is still long. Cultivate to wherever you can, and if you encounter a bottleneck that you can't break through, you don't have to take too many risks." "Yes, I know this the best," Xianxia said with a simple and honest smile. "As I said before, if it weren't for junior brother, I'm afraid I wouldn't even be able to enter the late stage of foundation establishment. Thank you, junior brother." While speaking, Yan Qinglian also woke up and hurriedly bowed. "Senior sister, no need to be polite with junior brother." Xiaohua hurriedly helped Yan Qinglian up. Yan Qinglian thought for a moment and said, "What junior brother taught me, can I pass it on to my disciples?" "Of course." Xiaohua agreed without hesitation. "They are disciples of the myriad Thunder Valley, so naturally you can pass it on. However, their physical aptitudes are not good, so don't place too much hope on them." "I know," Yan Qinglian said with a smile. "The lightning evasion technique has never been something that disciples of the palace branch like us can cultivate. If Zhen Quan, Zhen Yetao, and the others can cultivate it, even if they can't achieve anything, they will be extremely happy." Dui Qiming and Cui Hongshan also woke up a moment later, and the two sighed with emotion and thanked Xiaohua again. "Let's go." Xiaohua looked at Wu Qing and the others behind him and said, "No matter what, they have to comprehend it for another half a day. Fairy Xianhua outside the cave has been waiting for a long time." "Yes, we will listen to senior brother Xiao," Cui Hongshan and the others said, and walked out of the cave with Xiaohua like stars surrounding the moon. Outside the cave, Fairy Xianhua and the other masters of the 7 lightning palaces were respectfully standing there, not daring to even breathe loudly. Seeing Xiaohua and the others come out, Fairy Xianhua hurriedly stepped forward and bowed. Disciple Xianhua represents the disciples of the Imperial Thunder Sect to thank Taoist Xiao for his kindness in teaching us. Disciple and the others thank Taoist Xiao for his kindness in teaching us. Lei Meng Taoist and the others also hurriedly bowed. Xiaohua didn't dare to let Lei Meng Taoist salute like that day in front of the mountain gate. He simply waved his hand and helped everyone up, and said with a smile, "Don't thank me. This old man has already said that this is what I owe the Imperial Thunder Sect, and I must return it to the Imperial Thunder Sect." Fairy Xianhua and the others couldn't continue bowing, and had to stand up. Fairy Xianhua said with a smile, "Speaking of which, this junior owes senior too much. This junior was reckless back then, and this junior doesn't know how to make up for the previous mistake." Xiaohua waved his hand and said, "The past is the past, there is no need to mention it again. Moreover, what you did that day was not wrong. This Xiao has indeed violated the rules of the Imperial Thunder Sect's founder, and this Xiao has never thought of blaming you for this matter. This junior understands, and this time," Fairy Xianhua said again, "cleaning up the myriad Thunder Valley is this junior's fault." Hearing this, Xiaohua didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He hurriedly looked at Lei Meng Taoist and said, "Lei Meng Taoist, did you say that Fairy Xianhua was wrong?" Lei Meng Taoist was stunned, as he didn't expect Xiaohua to suddenly ask him. He only hesitated for a moment before answering, "Sect Master's starting point is correct. Cleaning up the redundant palace branches is feasible, but there are some shortcomings in the implementation. Sometimes, one is too rigid and can't listen to the opinions of others. It's easy to be taken advantage of by evil people." "Yes, this junior understands." Fairy Xianhua looked at Xiaohua respectfully and replied, "Of course." Lei Meng Taoist didn't stop and said again, "Although Sect Master has made so many mistakes, Sect Master still has the Imperial Thunder Sect in his heart, and didn't give up or compromise at the most critical moment. This alone is enough to gain our support. This seat is ashamed." Fairy Xianhua's face was slightly red, and she bowed to Lei Meng Taoist and the others. "Sect Master is too polite." The palace masters of the Lightning Palace hurriedly returned the bow, and said with a smile, "If there is anything in the future, it's better to discuss it more." Of course, of course." Fairy Xianxia nodded. "Seeing you all so united, this old man can be at ease," Xiaohua said with a smile. However, although the Imperial Thunder Sect wasn't exterminated this time, it actually suffered a great loss. Moreover, according to the calculations of the falling star heaven, there might be other arrangements in the sect that need to be cleaned up as soon as possible. Fairy Xianhua was very happy to see that Xiaohua was still concerned about the Imperial Thunder Sect. She explained the specific situation, and finally said, "This junior has already asked the palace masters to clean up the rebels. Now that the falling star heaven has been attacked by senior, their various schemes will definitely fail." And Xiaohua nodded, and looked at everyone. In the end, he took out 7 storage pouches and handed them to the 7 people, saying, "You all have been cultivating endlessly, so I'll give this to you. I hope that you all can reach a higher level of enlightenment." "Senior!" Fairy Xianhua was stunned, and hurriedly waved her hand, saying, "This junior doesn't dare to ask for more. Senior has given our Imperial Thunder Sect too many things." "That's for the Imperial Thunder Sect, these are for you all." Xiaohua waved his hand, and the 7 storage pouches were placed in front of each person, and said with a smile, "This Xiao has stayed in the Imperial Thunder Sect, so I know your hardships. Back then, Daoist me you racked her brains for the water elemental ice essence, but in the end, I'm afraid that she didn't get it. Today, this Xiao will fulfill your wish. I hope that you all can cultivate more, and worry more about the affairs of the Imperial Thunder Sect. Don't waste unnecessary energy on other things." P.S. Fellow Taoists who like this book, please go to Qidian to subscribe to support, vote for a month, vote for a recommendation, collect, reward, and thank all forms of support. Chapter 5162. Hiss. Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air when they heard this. When they checked the storage pouch, they were so shocked that they didn't know what to do. Everyone looked at each other and nodded. They carefully put away the storage pouch. Fairy Xianhua hesitated for a moment before saying, "Senior you," when she spoke up to hear, Fairy Xianhua was unable to continue. Seeing Fairy Xianhua's awkward expression, Thunder Talisman Daoist smiled and said, "Since that's the case, let this old man say it." "What's wrong?" Xiaohua was a little confused and asked. Thunder Talisman Daoist said, "Daoist Xiao, you were originally a disciple of my Imperial Lightning Sect. 700 years ago, senior sister Xianhua expelled you from the Imperial Lightning Sect and became the biggest joke in my country. Now that you have returned with a supreme divine ability, senior sister Xianhua wants to. Hee hee." Hearing Thunder Talisman Daoist bring up the past, Xiaohua laughed and interrupted him before he could finish. "This Xiao is not in the Imperial Lightning Sect, but the Myriad Lightning Valley is in the Imperial Lightning Sect. This Xiao won't say anything unnecessary." "Yes, Junior understands." Fairy Xianhua bit her lips and hurriedly asked, "Junior knows that Senior's Fortune Gate is 100 times stronger than the Imperial Lightning Sect. In the future, the Fortune Gate will definitely dominate the 3 countries. Junior." "Oh, this Xiao understands." Xiaohua slapped his forehead and took out a jade slip. He wrote something on it and handed it to Fairy Xianhua with a smile. "Don't worry about this matter. My Fortune Gate has already established a sect at Yellow Flower Ridge. If you want to form an alliance, you can go to Yellow Flower Ridge. The Fortune Gate sect master is this Zhao's disciple. They will take care of the Imperial Lightning Sect." "Junior thanks." Fairy Xianhua was overjoyed. She received the jade slip and thanked Xiaohua again. Woo. At this time, a demonic wind blew in the sky. Fairy Xianhua was startled. The black bear spirit brought Venerable Zhen Yuan and 2 cultivators fell from the sky with his paws. The moment the black bear spirit landed, he immediately knelt and kowtowed. Reporting to Sect Master, this little one was ordered to bring 2 spirit-severing brats here. The black bear spirit general shook his left paw and the old man with white hair and a youthful face fell to the ground. He said, "This is Feng Shu from the Immortal Ascension Gate." Soon after, with another shake, another middle-aged man in his 40s also landed on the ground and said, "This is Xianla Sect's Chan Si Miao." Xiaohua frowned as he looked at the 2 of them. He didn't have any impression of them. After that, Xiao Hua raised his hand and pointed at the space between Feng Shu's brows. Feng Shu opened his eyes and saw Lord Zhen Yuan. He scolded, "Zhen Yuan, I have no enmity with you. Why did you instigate this demon bear?" "Feng Shu," Xiao Hua said faintly from behind him. "Do you know this old man?" Feng Shu was shocked and hurriedly turned his head. When he saw Xiao Hua's appearance, his expression changed greatly. Of course, his expression only changed for an instant before it returned to normal. He frowned and asked, "Senior, who are you? You still haven't given up your evil intentions. Do you think you're the only one who knows how to search souls?" Hearing this, Xiao Hua was slightly angered. He raised his hand and pointed at the space between Feng Shu's brows again. Between Xiao Hua's fingers, dark green soul strands instantly seeped in. "Senior, senior." Feng Shu turned pale with fright and shouted, "How can you search souls as you wish? When you sent Xianxia to kill this Xiao, when you searched this Xiao's soul in the Imperial Devil Valley, this Xiao already had the qualifications to search your soul." Xiao Hua said faintly with a cold smile. His soul technique was unparalleled in the world. In just a moment, he had already discovered some clues. Sin. Feng Shu had already realized something and hurriedly begged for mercy. Unfortunately, before he could say a second word, Xiao Hua had already interrupted him. "This Xiao gave you a chance. Unfortunately, you didn't know how to grasp it. It's too late now." Feng Shu naturally didn't want to give in. Golden light flashed around his body and he wanted to struggle. Unfortunately, the golden light only flashed for a moment before it was extinguished. Feng Shu suddenly realized that his body felt like it was embedded into a mountain rock. Not only could he not move his fingers, even his thoughts were about to freeze. Only now did Feng Shu suddenly realize that the black bear spirit who had previously taken him down was kneeling in front of Xiao Hua, not even daring to raise his head. "Damn it!" Feng Shu roared sorrowfully in his heart. What exactly is going on? What exactly is going on? How is this Zhang Xiaohua? How is she so powerful? If I had known earlier, I'm afraid even Feng Shu himself wouldn't know what he would have done. Because his life would end here. His reincarnation would also end here. So it's like this. Xiao Hua withdrew his soul-searching fingers and looked at Feng Shu, who was paralyzed on the ground. He pinched his chin and thought to himself, so he and Chan Si Miao wanted to seize this Zhao's body and use it to resist the soul-splitting thunder tribulation. Unfortunately, he and Chan Si Miao discovered this Xiao at the same time. The two of them were afraid of each other, so they sent this Xiao to the Dawn Rain continent and let Master pick this Xiao up. Alas, the entanglement of karma is nothing more than that. Please refer to the outer chapter for the specific details. I won't go into detail here. Seeing Xiao Hua casually kill another soul-splitting grandmaster, Lord Zhen Yuan, Fairy Xianhua, and the others were shocked. They didn't know what kind of grudge Xiao Hua had with Feng Shu. Xiao Hua ignored them and raised his hand again, pointing at Chan Si Miao. Chan Si Miao was different from Feng Shu. He didn't curse. Instead, he looked at the black bear spirit and saw Xiao Hua. When he saw Xiao Hua, Chan Si Miao's face turned pale. When he saw Feng Shu, who was paralyzed on the ground, he couldn't help but sigh. Heaven's net has a wide net, but it doesn't escape. Karma reaps what you sow. Chan Si Miao, I'm sure you still remember this Xiao. Xiao Hua asked indifferently. Yes, of course this old man remembers. Chan Si Miao nodded. However, you weren't called Xiao Hua at that time. You were called Zhang Xiaohua. And tell me. Xiao Hua asked and nodded. I'm sure you know why this Xiao captured you. Chan Si Miao saw that the matter had been exposed, and Xiao Hua's strength had far exceeded his expectations. His initial uneasiness had become a reality, so he didn't hide anything. He told Chan Si Miao about how he and Feng Shu met Xiao Hua in the demon-resisting valley, and how he and Feng Shu's divine clone let Xiao Hua be near the Yellow Flower Ridge. He even told Chan Si Miao about how he found that Xiao Hua's seal had loosened, and how he sent Zhenren Dui to investigate. Xiao Hua's soul search was naturally not as detailed as Chan Si Miao's. When he heard Chan Si Miao's words, he nodded and said, You are honest. It seems that you understand your situation now. I don't care about the situation anymore. Chan Si Miao shook his head. I only feel that cultivators like us should face the tribulation of the heavenly Tao head-on. Even if we can't overcome it, we should perish with a bang. Unorthodox methods will always be unorthodox methods. They can't be brought to the table. Moreover, these unorthodox methods will backfire if we're not careful. Being able to cultivate to the spirit-severing stage in this life is not bad. Xiao Hua said indifferently. Since you have repented before you die, this old man will allow your soul to enter the cycle of reincarnation. Kill yourself. Chan Si Miao's body trembled. He looked at Feng Shu who was lying on the ground and understood something. He bowed and said, "This one thanks Master Xiao." After he finished speaking, Chan Si Miao sat down cross-legged and stopped breathing. Sigh. Xiao Hua sighed and looked at the corpses of the two spirit-severing stage cultivators. He waved his hand and 2 streams of true samadhi fire landed on them. He said, "If you knew this would happen, why did you do it in the first place?" Lord Zhen Yuan, Fairy Xianxia, Reverend Lei Meng, and the others stood at the side in fear. They had already heard the grudge between Xiao Hua and Feng Shu and Chan Si Miao. They already understood why Xiao Hua had to kill the 2 spirit-severing stage cultivators. This method of soul-searching before possessing the bodies of the 2 spirit-severing stage cultivators was truly infuriating. They also didn't think that Xiao Hua had gone overboard in forcing the 2 spirit-severing stage cultivators. If it were them, they might not have allowed Chan Si Miao to die peacefully. Godfather. At this moment, Xianxia, Wuxia, and Cui Yingying walked out of the cave. Seeing the corpses being burned by the true samadhi fire, Xianxia shouted in surprise, "What are you doing?" "Nothing," Xiao Hua said with a smile. "This old man has another karma. You all came at the right time. This old man is about to leave. All of you, come with me." "Yes, Godfather," Xianxia hurriedly replied. "Master's wife, this disciple has something to do and will leave first. When I have time, I will come back to see you." Xiao Hua's body flew up and he cupped his hands towards the cave. Junior respectfully sends spiritual master Xiao off. Lord Zhen Yuan, Fairy Xianxia, and the others hurriedly bowed. "All of you, cultivate diligently." Black Bear Spirit, Wuxia, and the others flew up with Xiao Hua. In just a short moment, they had already turned into black dots. Xiao Hua's voice sounded again. "In the future, the Dawn Rain continent will no longer be peaceful." "Yes, Junior understands." No one dared to stand up and they replied, "Junior thanks spiritual master Xiao for teaching us." At the same time, Xiao Hua's voice sounded in Lei Meng Daoist's ears again. "Lei Meng Daoist, you and this old man have long been connected by fate. Since then, you have taken great care of this old man. Junior naturally has to repay you generously. However, in front of Fairy Xianxia and the others, this old man can't tell you too much. The things in your storage pouch are different from others. There are lightning cultivation techniques, elixirs, immortal peaches, and other things. You don't have to ask others and just focus on cultivating. In addition, if there is anything you don't understand about the lightning escape technique, feel free to ask Xianxia. This old man has already explained it to him in detail. If there is anything you need, you can also ask him." Lei Meng Daoist's body trembled slightly. However, his body did not move and he was no different from the others. When he stood up with the others, Xiao Hua and the others had already disappeared. The protective formation of the Imperial Thunder Sect was nothing in Xiao Hua's eyes. A profound expression appeared in Lei Meng Daoist's eyes. At this time, Zhuo Wu and the others hurriedly flew out and looked at the place where Xiao Hua disappeared with melancholy. Vote for it, give it a recommendation vote, collect it and give it a tip. Chapter 5163. Sect Master, Seniors. Seeing this, Cui Hongshan took the opportunity to bow and said, "Daoist Xiao left behind some rare spirit fruits. Would seniors like to enter his cultivation cave for a chat?" Hee hee. Without waiting for Fairy Xianxia to speak, Master Zhen Yuan laughed and said, "This old man accompanied Daoist Zhao's pet for a walk and didn't taste anything good. It doesn't matter if you all want to go or not. This old man is going. Xenia has worked hard to guide Li." Cui Hongshan hurriedly said respectfully, "There are still some immortal peaches in the cultivation cave. Senior, please. Since Senior has left them behind, Junior doesn't dare to compete with Senior. Fairy Xianxia smiled and said, these immortal peaches are immortal items. Senior should eat more of them. However, Hallmaster Cui, this matter is a secret of my Imperial Lightning Sect. You must not leak it, otherwise, it will cause endless trouble. Cui Hongshan's heart trembled. He hurriedly bowed and said, yes, disciple understands. Soon after, Zhua Hongshan accompanied Master Zhen Yuan into the cultivation cave. Fairy Xianxia and the others hurriedly left. Although the Imperial Lightning Sect wasn't in a mess, there were many things left behind. They didn't dare to neglect them. Zhong Haoran, Fei Yunshu, and Zhong Zhan were outside the Sky Patrol City discussing how to join forces with the Chu Hong faction and other Fortune Gate disciples who worship Xiao Hua to besiege the Sky Patrol City. Yi Clan's young lord Yi Shixiang went to meet Su Yenyun and Yun Clan's patriarch Yun Qingchong. Let's talk about a place with beautiful scenery in the Ripple Country. A towering mountain range that reached into the clouds was like a divine dragon crawling among the mountains. This mountain ridge seemed to stand out from the rest, but the mountains within a radius of 10,000 li were like stars surrounding the moon, firmly protecting this mountain ridge. Under the cover of the moonlight, faint waves of light, invisible to the naked eye, surged past these mountains like a spring, falling into this huge mountain ridge. Once the moonlight shone into the mountain, it immediately split into a dozen or so strands and seeped into various parts of the mountain through the formation. Obscure ripples spread out from various parts of the formation, forming a thin barrier that firmly protected the entire mountain. The formation was rather similar to the capital star formation. GG. An azure ape that was more than 100 feet tall suddenly rushed out from the foot of the mountain. Using both its arms and legs, it pounced on a dangerous path on the mountain ridge. Unfortunately, the azure ape had only climbed 1,000 feet when a silver light flashed from the array. The azure ape's figure disappeared from the dangerous path. When it reappeared, the azure ape had already fallen to the bottom of the mountain ridge. GG. The azure ape seemed to be puzzled, but its slightly clear eyes gave birth to a firm determination. It growled a few times, and that hissing sound spread particularly far in the night. Then, without hesitation, the azure ape stretched out both its arms and legs and climbed up the dangerous path. Sigh. Just behind the azure ape, an old man dressed in a Taoist robe stood quietly in mid-air watching. Seeing that the azure ape had already rushed up the dangerous path for the 100th time, the old man couldn't help but sigh. This azure ape's heart is firm and persistent, but it is after all a spirit beast. Can our Kunlun sect leader accept this azure ape? Even if the azure ape climbs for another 100 days, I'm afraid it will still be in vain. After sighing, the old man's figure moved. Just as he was about to fly out to stop the explanation, he heard a mournful sound behind him. A small flying shuttle flew over like a meteor. Behind the flying shuttle was a long blood-colored tail. Blood shuttle? The old man saw the flying shuttle approaching and cried out involuntarily. He didn't dare to be negligent and hurriedly took out a fist-sized bowl-shaped magic weapon. Under the urging of his transcendence energy, the magic weapon turned into a bright yellow net-like object and rushed into the air. Puff! The flying shuttle was originally flying somewhere else, but at this time, it was attracted by the net-like object and fell into it. With a dull sound, the flying shuttle stopped in the old man's hand. The old man picked up the flying shuttle and probed it with his divine sense. His expression changed again, and he said in surprise, "What, there's actually the sect leader's spirit mirror in this blood ridge? Which disciple sent this message back? Who dares to use the sect leader's spirit mirror? Doesn't he know that this sect leader's spirit mirror can't be used unless it's the most urgent news in the sect? Even I have only seen it hundreds of years ago in the sword battle and the battle of Imperial Demon Valley. Io, is it Gu Yunzi? Not good, it should be the sect's urgent message." When he saw the mark left behind by Gu Yunzi in the blood shuttle, the elder lost his cool. He did not dare to hesitate any longer. He could not care less about enlightening the azure ape. He soared into the sky and dove into the formation on the mountain ridge. Looking at the azure ape again, it had also been alarmed by the sound of Shuelang earlier. It stood on the dangerous path and turned its head. When it saw the old man's figure, it could not help but grin. But before it could finish laughing, the old man flew into the mountain ridge above its head. The azure ape was stunned at first. It looked at the mountain ridge for a long time without saying a word, as if it couldn't understand. After a while, the azure ape climbed up the dangerous path again. Although it was sent to the bottom of the mountain after a while, the azure ape's every move was full of determination. Above the mountain ridge was a different kind of paradise. First, there was a majestic archway and gate. Then there was a palace that stretched for thousands of miles. In the palace, many celestial birds and strange beasts crawled under the bright moonlight, and the palace was shrouded in a faint moonlight. The old man rushed up the mountain ridge. He didn't dare to be negligent and flew straight to a simple palace in the center. Inside the palace was another large hall. There were no pillars in the hall, and the ground was paved with bluestone. Each bluestone was neither big nor small, and it was a full 100 feet. There were faint runes engraved on the bluestone. At this time, under the brilliance of the pearl, there were faint traces of clouds and multicolored light flowing. Looking at the four walls of the hall, there were pictures of the primitive wasteland. These pictures of the primitive wasteland seemed to be engraved, but they also seemed to be illusions. When one's gaze fell, the strange scenes on the pictures were vivid and lifelike. At this time, there were many cultivators standing in the hall. These cultivators were either nascent soul or late golden core. They were whispering in groups of 3 to 5. At the head of the hall, a late nascent soul old man with white hair and a youthful face was sitting on a jade chair. He was holding a jade slip in his hand. He also turned his head and said to a mid-nascent soul old man beside him. That nascent soul old man nodded slightly, as if he agreed with the late nascent soul old man. The late nascent soul old man picked up a jade slip at the side and looked at it. Then he looked up and said with a smile, "Everyone!" When the late nascent soul old man spoke, all the cultivators shut their mouths. The hall quieted down. All the cultivators looked at each other and moved to a few rows. In the first row, a middle-aged man in a black robe bowed and asked, "Sect Master, do you have a plan?" Hee. The old man didn't answer. Instead he asked, "Xianxia, you are now the palace master of Wuxia Palace. What do you think of the things in this jade slip?" Xianxia didn't hesitate and said, "Reporting to Sect Master, although my Kunlun sect isn't one of the top sects in the Dawn Rain continent, it is still one of the top 3 sects in the Lian country. It is one of the top sects in the Lian country. Others may not know the long history of my Kunlun sect, but I know that my Kunlun sect is different from other sects. My Kunlun sect's orthodoxy has been passed down since the ancient times. The reason why it has been able to prosper for so long is naturally because my Kunlun sect upholds justice and believes that we are the orthodox Taoist sect rules. Right now in my Dawn Rain continent, Taoist cultivators are having internal strife, sword cultivators are trying their best to expand, and the heavenly demon sect is causing trouble. My Kunlun sect should stand on its own and take on the responsibility to advance. Not only must we stabilize the various Taoist sects in my Lian country, we must also lead the movements of the sects in the 3 countries. Looking at this jade slip, it actually wants my Kunlun sect to send out disciples to support some Immortal Alliance Arbitration Hall's arbitration order. This so-called arbitration order, although this disciple doesn't know what it is, this arbitration order is related to the Rock Border sect. Moreover, the Immortal Alliance only had an effect during the Battle of the Imperial Demon Valley. When did they start to meddle in my Lian country's affairs? Therefore, this disciple feels that my Kunlun sect absolutely cannot send out disciples to be the accomplice of a villain. The late nascent soul stage old man sitting on the jade chair was naturally the Kunlun sect's sect master Xianxia. He looked at Xianxia with a smile and didn't say anything. After Xianxia finished speaking, he looked at the other cultivators and asked, "What about you all?" Reporting to Sect Master. Another early nascent soul stage cultivator bowed and said, "According to this disciple's opinion, although the Immortal Alliance was an existence that was dispatched during the Immortal Demon War, in the past 1,000 years, the Immortal Alliance has expanded a lot. According to reliable information, many cultivators with good aptitudes have joined the Immortal Alliance. Obviously, this Immortal Alliance will play a big role in the future. In particular, there are high-level cultivators in the Immortal Alliance. Each of them is an elder of each sect and can be considered as a person who can summon the wind and summon the rain in the Dawn Rain continent. If we don't accept the arbitration order and offend the Immortal Alliance, then it's my Kunlun sect looking for trouble. Also, since the Immortal Alliance issued the arbitration order, it's also the Alliance Master's intention. If my Kunlun sect doesn't support the Alliance Master's arbitration order, what do the other sects think?" Dao Master Xing Hui. Xianxia smiled and said, I only said that this arbitration order was issued by the Immortal Alliance. I didn't say that it was issued by my Kunlun sect's Dao Master Xianqing. The cultivator named Dao Master Xinghui stared blankly and asked curiously, since it wasn't issued by the Alliance Master, then why is it called the Immortal Alliance's arbitration order? Xianxia looked at the middle nascent soul stage cultivator beside him and said, Fu Yuzi, you received this jade slip. Explain it to Dao Master Xinghui. Yes, Sect Master. The cultivator named Fu Yuzi agreed. He cleared his throat and looked at everyone and said, Actually, this jade slip wasn't issued to my Kunlun sect. It was issued to Sect Master alone. After I got the jade slip, I hurriedly reported it to Sect Master. After he looked at it, he let I publicize it to everyone. Dao Master Xinghui's brows furrowed even tighter. He asked curiously, since it's a message from the Immortal Alliance, why send it to Sect Master alone? Could it be that there's something fishy about it? P.S. Fellow Taoists who like this book, please go to Qidian to subscribe to support, vote for a month, vote for a recommendation, collect, reward, thank you for all forms of support. Thank you to Only Smoking Half of Gold Nanjing for the reward and thank everyone for their support. Tonight's update was a temporary adjustment, so it was delayed. Sorry. You're tuning in to the Wisdom Diary YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.